Well, hey there, welcome. My name is Mike Simmons, and thanks for stopping by to check out my video. Now, if you're thinking about making a website and using WordPress, you're making a good choice, in my opinion. There's a lot of ways to make websites nowadays, but WordPress to me is the best way. It does take a little bit to learn, and of course, that's why you're here watching this video. But if you can drag and drop, hold down your left mouse and drag something from one side of the screen to the other, and have a little bit of creativity, or at least, a little willingness to be creative, and you can use other people's designs to maybe whet your creative juices, you can make a great looking website. And here's a little preview of what we're going to cover in this video. This is not going to be a real complicated type of video, but I am going to show you all the basics you're going to need to get started and get a website, landing page, web pages, get going online. So let's take a look at some web pages that we're going to take a look at during the video. Here's a sample home page. It's the header. Here's a sample simple logo, I should say, which I'll show you how to make in the video. Here's some social icons. This black toolbar up here does not have to be showing, and of course will not show to your site visitors. Just thought I'd point that out. Here's a section we're going to make in the video, and this is a full width section. Your website does not have to cover the width of the page, but that's a pretty popular style nowadays, and that's what we're doing in the video. But very easy to change this using the free GeneratePress and free Elementor page builder plugin we're going to use. And of course you see the headings, and of course the image overlaying everything, the buttons which change color if you hover over them. Of course they would go somewhere if you clicked on them somewhere on your site. Here's another section with a video and some text and a headline. Here's 3 columns right here with a blue background. Here's another section with some text in there. Here's a testimonial, and we have another button down here at the bottom here. A couple buttons down here at the bottom. That is one page we're going to make, and here's another page we're going to make, which is very similar. In fact, I used the other page as a template, which we'll talk about in the video too. This is a landing page style web page, and you notice the dark text overlay right here, the dark text box with the light text, and the button inside the text box also. And you notice there's no navigation menu or anything like that. The header up here, right here, there we go, the navigation menu. In the landing page, we do not have that, and that's one of the benefits of using Elementor. They have something you can do which will take away your header and your footer, so you don't have to have any navigation menu, which you would not want to have on a landing page anyway. Here's another page we're going to make. You can use this as a contact page, location page, even a home page on a website. And this is the page using all free plugins. We have a free slider plugin. And plugins, by the way, if you don't know what they are just a bunch of code, and you don't have to know anything about how they work to use them. Here's the Google Maps, which Elementor lets you do very easily. Some testimonials. Here's another contact form using a free plugin, WordPress plugin. And we'll go back up here. And here's the same page using the GeneratePress premium add-on, which is the GeneratePress is a free WordPress theme, but it does have a premium add-on which lets us do stuff like this secondary menu right up here, and this different style of menu right here rather than the default style which comes with the free GeneratePress. And we're also using the Elementor Pro page builder plugin, which has some really cool pro elements we'll take a quick look at during the video. We're going to use the free page builder, Elementor page builder plugin, for the majority of the video, but we will take a look at the pro version at the end of the video. Here's the slider for which you get during the pro version if you buy the pro version of Elementor. Very cool slider. Has a lot of different variations you can do to make your slides, the text overlays and your images. Here's a form which comes with the Elementor Pro form builder, and it has a lot of cool options too. But anyway, we're going to take a look at all that and of course much more during the video. So I think that's enough of a preview. So let's get started. Alright, what am I going to cover in this video? Well, this is going to be WordPress 101. This is not going to be heavy diet, graduate level work here. We're going to keep it simple and basic, but at the same time, keep it thorough so you know all you need to know to get your website going. First thing we'll do is talk about choosing a domain name. That's the first thing you have to do to get a website online. And we'll cover getting hosting, and then we will install WordPress. Super easy to do nowadays. We'll go over all our WordPress settings, make sure we get everything set up correctly, all the foundation in place for your WordPress site. We'll talk about what are called plugins and themes. We'll go over the customizer section, which is a very cool what you see is what you get. You can make changes and see them in a preview screen right as you're going along. And then we're going to use a very nice and free WordPress page builder, which makes it super easy to create really cool web pages for your website. Then after that, of course, it's up to you how far you want to go. So onward and upward. Choosing your domain name. I know this is WordPress 101, but here's a few tips on choosing your domain name. It's not rocket science, but you might find these helpful. You can use a branded domain name, which would be something like your business or personal name or local brand or that sort of thing. You can use what is called a keyword-rich domain, or you can use, as the question marks kind of signify, pretty much anything, whatever else the heck you want that contains letters and or numbers. Not sure what the limitations are. I'm sure there are some somewhere. I hear a couple domains of mine that kind of are like that, wphowtos.com and myezwp.com. I chose them just because they're short, kind of catchy and easy to remember, and they have WP in there. It's not trying to rank for WP or anything, just because WordPress, of course, WP stands for WordPress. So having a keyword in your domain, does it still help? In my opinion, yes, it still does. Not like it used to back in, say, up to about 2013, where you could basically just get what's called an EMD, an exact match domain, and rank it just basically by having the domain name itself. And you could throw a bunch of affiliate links up there, have hardly any content at all, just maybe some banners and affiliate links, and your site would rank. And Google said, you know, enough of that. So they came out with an algorithm, and it penalized sites that, not just because they were using EMDs, they don't penalize sites for that, but they do penalize sites that don't have good content. So having a keyword in your domain or as your domain still does help, but there is more to it than that if you're trying to get your site ranking on Google, as the saying goes. Now, if you have a local business, having the keyword plus your city that you're located in your domain name does give you a little boost. You do not have to do this by any means, but it still does help. So for example, that would be something like attorneyinsandiego.com or sandiegolawyer.com, that sort of thing, although those domains are most likely gone. Now, if you have a keyword domain that you're really trying to get in a .com, which is always the best choice, .com, you could try adding a modifier to the front or the back, like best, the, top, etc., etc. You know, kind of use your imagination to find the domain of your choice. If you really are set on a particular domain name and you can't find it in the .com, you could get a .net. That's always my second choice. .org is good for nonprofit organizations. There's a whole bunch of other domain extensions. There's even like a .ninja nowadays and a whole bunch of other ones. Now, as far as an e-commerce site, if you're wanting to build an e-commerce site, having a keyword in your domain can help, but it gets a little tricky with e-commerce. It's kind of the same thing I was talking about. People used to build sites called sniper sites, and they would build a site, for instance, called a blue-green extra small widget for men, widgetsformen.com. I mean, where that would be a particular type of product, and it would rank, of course, for that product name. Google likes what are called authority sites now, and sniper sites don't tend to do too well anymore, but as with anything, your mileage may vary, so that is up to you. Do your due diligence. You can either purchase your domain separately or you can buy it when you buy your web hosting. Here's the place I use, Namecheap, to buy most of my domains. There's also places like GoDaddy and a bunch more. You can buy your domains if you want to buy them separately from your web hosting, but you can get it with your web hosting because most any web hosting company will be more than happy to sell you a domain name. And you can also use Namecheap just to do a little brainstorming because domain names have to be unique, so you can find out if your domain of choice is available just by coming to Namecheap and doing a search on here and doing a little brainstorming, like I said. Mike's Red Boat, we'll click on suggestions here. Here we go. Mike'sRedBoat.com is available for about $11 a year. There's a whole bunch more domain extensions like I was telling you before. So whichever way you want to go, buy your domain separately or buy it when you buy your web hosting. It's a good place to come just to do a little brainstorming. And you are also going to need somewhere to store your website files, your web hosting. HostGator is where I use to host most of my websites online. I do use and recommend one other web hosting company, but HostGator is the place where I host most of my websites. They are a very big company. I'm sure you've probably heard of them and seen their advertisements online. But I've had very good success with these guys. I have been using them for over 8 years now. And I have used other web hosting companies, and I have dealt with probably at least a dozen, probably more than that, other web hosting companies doing clients' websites and marketing online. So, and these guys, I can truthfully say, have been the best experience for me overall. Very good support, US based, very knowledgeable guys. I use their support fairly often. About the only negative thing I could think of to say about HostGator is that if you call their support during peak business times, you might have to wait 10, 15, 20 minutes. But that's not always the case, because I called these guys today, as a matter of fact, and I had to wait like 1 minute. So they do have several different choices for you. Their basic shared hosting, their cloud hosting, their WordPress hosting, and they do claim their cloud and WordPress hosting is faster than their basic shared hosting. And I have used it once with a client's website, and it was indeed faster, but there are ways that you can do things you can do to optimize your basic shared hosting, your website, that will make your website just as fast using basic shared hosting. In fact, I'll put a video link down below the video in the video description that you can check out. I myself have the reseller account because I host clients' websites on my reseller account, but for most people, the basic shared hosting is what I recommend. So let's go ahead and click on Get Started Now, and we'll go through the process real quick. They have 3 basic plans for shared hosting. The hatchling or the baby is what I recommend for most people. The business plan, of course, you can check it out if you want. Hatchling plan, if you're pretty sure you're only going to have a single domain, get that because it'll be cheaper. If you're pretty sure you're going to have more than one domain, get the baby plan. Go ahead and click on Sign Up Now. You can always change your plan when you go through the sign up process if you just change your mind. Here's where you can buy a domain at HostGator, or I already own this domain, and put in the domain you've already purchased yourself. Now, if you do want to buy a domain at HostGator, I do have a discount code, MikeSave60, that'll allow you to get a .com for about $5 the first year. If you want to do that, we'll just paste in mikeswp.com, and I believe that is available. It'll tell you if it's available or not. There we go. And they'll come up with some other choices for you to consider. If you want to buy more domains, go hog wild with buying domains. We'll just scroll down here. We have the hatchling plan selected right now, which is a single domain. And we have 36 months selected. I'm going to change that to 12 months. Of course, the longer period of time you buy, the bigger discount you get. Enter in a username, security PIN. Enter in all your billing info, and you can use either a credit card or PayPal if you want. Make sure you put in a good email, because they will send all your account info to your email that you put in there. They're going to try to sell you some additional services. I'm just going to uncheck them myself. And right here they have a coupon code which gives you a little bit of a discount. They say I'm going to put in one of my own coupon codes, MikeSave60. Here it is right here. Here's a couple other discount codes you can use too. MikeSave30 if you're buying 3 or 6 months. Use that one. MikeSave60, I'm not sure how long this one will be good, but it will give you your biggest discount if you buy a year or more of hosting. And if you want to go the monthly route, MikeSave10 will allow you to get the first month for 1 penny. Now, of course, I do get a commission from HostGator if you use one of my discount codes or my affiliate link. But if you are getting value from my video or videos, and you are going to buy hosting at HostGator, I sure would appreciate it if you use one of my codes. So if you do, thanks in advance. Close this out. I'll click on Validate here to make sure we've done that. And it looks like they tried to add something on here again. Let's uncheck the site lock again. There we go. They're a company. They're trying to sell you stuff. So using this code right here, you can get the first year of your hosting for about $65. So once you've made your choice on how long a term of hosting you're going to buy and put in a coupon code, hopefully my coupon code, wink wink, and validated it, made all your decisions and choices, checked everything out here to make sure you're buying what you want to, and then of course you'll just have to finalize the transaction, you'll just have to put a check in this box that you agree to HostGator's terms of service and click check out now and go through the purchase process. So once you've purchased your hosting at HostGator, whatever that is, they're going to send you an email which should look something similar to this. And here's all your pertinent account info. And what I like to do is just highlight all this stuff, then right click and copy it and paste it into a text file where I can have it handy. Now, if you did buy your domain at HostGator, you're not going to have to do anything else. You can just click on this your control panel link and it'll open up your cPanel login screen right here. And of course, you'll just paste in your username and your password they generated for you and log in. Now, if you did buy your domain separately from your web hosting, you'll have to connect them together via what are called the name servers right here, first name server and second name server. Very simple process. I do have a couple videos showing you how to do it at Namecheap and GoDaddy. You can do a search online or even call your domain registrar where you bought your domain and ask them to do it for you. So you might have to wait an hour or so before you can use your username right here and your password and paste them into your control panel login screen right here and click login. And of course, like I said, if you did purchase your domain at HostGator, you'll be able to log in right away. Once you're able to log in, you'll be taken to your cPanel screen. Now this is the new style of cPanel that HostGator is transitioning to. Most generally, you're going to see a screen that looks like this, but you might see something that looks like the old style, which of course I can't show you right here, but it's going to have the same information on it. And what we are going to do is actually skip all this stuff right here and scroll down until we see software, and then we're going to click on quick install to install WordPress. And once you're on the quick install screen, just click on WordPress. And then we'll just simply click on Install WordPress, this button right here. And this is where you choose where you're going to install WordPress at. You might just see your main domain right here. I'm going to use a subdomain. And right here where it says install path here, don't put anything in there unless you actually know what you're doing. Then choose a good admin email. Choose a blog title. I'm just going to put something in there. I've already made up my first site. You can always change the blog title later. Admin user, just choose something besides admin because that's not a very secure admin user. Now you can't change your admin username. You have to make another admin account, which is actually not very hard. Choose something besides admin for your admin user. My first name, I'm just going to put Mike. And I'll just put my last name. This is your blog author name, which you can also change later if you want to. And once you fill that out, we'll just click on Install WordPress. They're going to try to sell you something. I'm just going to close that out. And that was all in real time, so that was a very quick install of WordPress. I'm just going to click this arrow here to view credentials. And again, I like to copy all this stuff and paste it into another text file so I have it all handy. Here's your login URL, which is basically going to be your URL /wp-admin. Here's your username and here is your password. I'm just going to copy this password. Actually, I'm just going to click inside it like that a couple times and copy it. Then I'm going to click on this URL, which should open up in another screen. Here's our login screen. Now, if you do get what is called a 401 error page, don't worry about it. That just means you're going to have to wait a few minutes before you can log in. So just try back after a few minutes if you do get that 401 error. I'll paste in the password, go back and get my username, go back here, paste that in, and then click log in. And that's going to take you to your admin dashboard. And before we get started here, I'm just going to close this out right here by clicking on that X. And the first thing we are going to do is actually hover over here on the left and click on Plugins. You'll see it over on the left. Click on that. We're just going to get rid of a few plugins that HostGator installs by default when you install WordPress using Quick Install. So we're just going to put a check in this box right here. That's going to select all the plugins. Actually, what we're going to do first is click Deactivate and click Apply. Now, of course, you don't have to do this. You can check out any of these plugins out if you want, but for the sake of this video, I'm just getting rid of them all. So I'm going to put a check in the box again, select Bulk Actions, Delete, and click Apply. All right, now we've got rid of all our plugins. Let's go back to the main dashboard screen. And that will take you straight to your WordPress dashboard. Now, normally you're just going to have to put in your URL of your site and then put a / and then wp-admin and then log in with your admin username and password. Now, before we get started setting up our site, here is a blog post on my wphowtos.com site that you may find helpful. It started out as just a way to list some WordPress plugins that I use and recommend, and we are going to go over WordPress plugins a little bit later in the video, but I've started adding more resources to it, so you may find it helpful. There's some sources for royalty-free images, and I even started a simple little checklist down here. This stuff is pretty basic we're going over, but you may find it helpful to have a little checklist when you're first getting started with WordPress, so check out the blog post. All right, let's go back to our dashboard. And the first thing we are going to take care of, we're going to hover over settings and then click on permalinks. And actually, before we change our permalink settings, let's take a look at our site as it is right now, and I'll show you what permalinks are if you don't already know. Here is our site as it is right now, just using the default WordPress theme at the time of this video, which is the 2017. If we scroll down here, here's the default Hello World blog post. I'll go ahead and click on it. And right up here in the URL, you notice all this stuff, the date, the year, and the month, and the day, and then Hello World. That is what is called your permalinks. Let's go back to our permalink settings, and we are going to change our permalinks just to the plain post name permalink setting. We'll go down and save changes, go back to our site and refresh the tab first of all. Click on Hello World post again. Now you notice it got rid of the day and the year and all that. Now it just has the post name, and that's what we want. All right, now let's hover over users and click on your profile. And there's some different settings you can check out. You can disable the visual editor. I wouldn't recommend doing that. Change your admin color scheme. Show the toolbar or not show the toolbar. And this is your toolbar. And if you're logged into your WP admin account and you look at your website, you'll see the toolbar unless you uncheck this box right here. I like to leave it checked myself. Your admin username, you can't change that. You have to actually make another admin user to have a different admin username. Your first and last name, that's your blog author name. I like to have my name in there. Display name publicly, I think we'll use Mike Simmons for that. Here's your admin email, which you can change if you want. Down at the bottom, account management, we can change our password if we want by clicking on here. So if you want to do that, of course, you can use the password that they made up for you, or you can put in your own password by typing it in there. But whichever way you do it, if you use their password especially, make sure you right-click and copy that and paste it into a text file somewhere before you change your password. Otherwise, you're going to have to go through a few steps to be able to log into your account again. I'm actually just going to cancel this. I'm not going to change our password. And I don't think we made any changes, so I don't have to update our profile. Now let's go back to the settings and just click on settings. And that will take you to the general settings tab. And you can change your site title right here. I think I'll change it to, let's see, My First WP Site. Tagline, I usually just remove that. You can have a tagline if you want. Your WordPress and site address URLs, you can leave as is if you'd like, or if you prefer, this is not a mandatory thing, it's just a personal preference, but you can add 3 W's and a dot. If you do that, you need to do it to both URLs. They have to be the same. People will get to your site whether they type in the 3 W's or not. But if you like to see those 3 W's up here in the address bar, you can go ahead and add them. This, like I said, is just an aesthetic thing, a personal preference. But if you do change it, whichever version you use, that is going to be what is called your preferred URL. So if you build links from social profiles and that sort of thing, use whichever version of your URL that you have in your general settings tab. All right, we'll scroll down. Your email address, you can change that. New user, default role, subscriber is a good one. You can change your time zone to your correct time zone if you want. All you do is just find a city that's located in the same time zone you are. I'll just choose Los Angeles because I'm on the West Coast. It's not a mandatory thing, but you can do this if you want. And the rest of the stuff we're just going to leave alone. I'm going to click Save Changes. And what else can we do under our settings? We can hover over settings again and click on Writing. And actually, there's nothing you have to do under the writing settings. I never change anything myself. The reading settings we'll take a look at a little later. Discussion, we can click on that. This is where you can actually not allow people to post comments on your blog post. If you uncheck this box like that and then go down and click Save Changes, that'll not give them the option to post comments on your blog post if you want them not to be able to do that. And I'll click Save Changes. Right now, let's add a couple default pages to our site. Let's just click on Pages first of all. And the first thing we'll do is get rid of this sample page. So hover over it and click on Trash. And then click on the trash link right here. We'll just get rid of it permanently by clicking Delete Permanently. Now we're going to click on Add New and add a couple pages to our site. We'll add a home page. Click Publish. And we'll click Add New one more time, and we'll go ahead and add a blog page for our blog posts. You could call it News or What's New or anything you want. I'm just going to title it Blog, and I'm going to click Publish one more time. And we'll add a few more pages for our site a little bit later, but that's enough for now. Now let's click on Plugins over here on the left. And this is the page which shows the installed plugins on our site currently. And we have 2 of them that were installed by default when we installed WordPress. Now, what are plugins exactly? Plugins are just a bunch of code which add functions and features to your WordPress theme. And there's a bunch of very cool plugins, and we're going to take a look at some of them in just a minute. Actually, we're going to get rid of this Hello Dolly plugin right now. We're just going to click Deactivate, and we're going to delete it. The Akismet one we'll talk about in just a moment. We're going to leave it activated. Let's click on Add New under Plugins. Here are some featured plugins on WordPress.org, and Akismet's one of them because it's made by Automatic, WordPress.com, just like this one too. And they're not too bad of plugins. We'll talk about the Akismet one in just a couple minutes. Now, to do a search for a plugin, you can just do a search by keyword, which is what I normally do. I'll just type in SEO. You can also do a search by the plugin author if you have a plugin that you use and you want to find out what other plugins perhaps he's made. You can do it that way. This is bringing up search results with plugins that have SEO in the name, and a lot of these are pretty obscure. Not too many people are using them. Doesn't mean they're bad plugins, but it's kind of hard to know one way or the other unless you know the plugin author. And last updated 4 weeks ago, compatible with your version of WordPress right here. So these are pretty obscure plugins right down here. Let's check out this one down here, SEO by Squirrely. Never really heard of it, but it has a lot of good ratings here and 30,000 active installs, so it's not, and it was last updated 2 weeks ago, so they keep on top of this plugin. Now, there are tons of really cool plugins that add all kinds of functions and features. There are a bunch of free ones on WordPress.org, which you'll see. And some of these have premium versions. And there's also premium plugins which you can buy that aren't even listed on WordPress.org. And I have a couple of those actually myself. My general rule of thumb with plugins is not to install plugins that I don't need, that aren't necessary. And I try not to have more than 15 active plugins at one time. And sometimes it's less than that depending on what plugins I have, because some of them will slow your site down no matter how many plugins you have on your site. And a good way to know if you have too many plugins, you can check your website speed right here at Pingdom, tools.pingdom.com. And this URL is on my blog post, which we'll go to in a minute. And do a before and after test of your website speed. Do a couple tests before you install plugins, and then after you install the plugins, you can check it out again, and you'll know if it's slowed your site down too much. Now, talking about plugins, let's go to my wphowtos.com site and my plugin post, my resources post. So let's install a few of these plugins on our site. And a good way to do that actually is just use my blog post as a reference. Come to my blog post, have it open in a new tab, copy the name, go back to your Add Plugins screen right here. We'll paste in our Elementor Page Builder plugin right here. We are going to use this, a very cool plugin. We are going to check it out a little later. Right now, we'll just install and activate it. And once it's installed, you just click, it'll change to activate. Go ahead and click on the blue button one more time. Now we have Elementor installed and activated on our site, and we are going to use Elementor to build out our web pages in a little while. But right now, let's go back to our Add New Plugins screen. We'll go back to my blog post. I'll move it back over here, and we're going to add a few more of these plugins. I'll go through the same process. I'll go through it one more time with you. Copy the name, open up my blog post in one tab, have your Add Plugins screen open in another tab, paste in the name right here. And WordPress Security actually has a premium version. I've never used it myself, but it might be good. Okay, now we'll just activate this one. And as you can see, it has like 3,000 reviews and 1,000,000 plus active installs, so very popular plugin. We'll go back to add new plugins. And what I'm going to do actually is go through this list, and I'm going to install these ones right here I'm going to install the next 5 of our plugins that we have listed on my post. So I'm just going to go through the same process, copy the name, go back over to our add plugin screen, do a search for it, install, and activate. So I'm going to pause the video while I do this. Alright, I've got some plugins installed and activated on our site. I'm actually going to upload a plugin that's not listed on WordPress.org, a backup plugin that I use, so I'm just going to browse to it like this, find the zip file of the plugin I want to install, Backup Buddies, which I use a lot. I'm just going to click on that like this, and I'll click Install Now for that one. Alright, now let's take a look at all the installed plugins on our site. I actually installed and activated a couple more plugins from this list. This one right here, Access Press Social Icons and MetaSlider. I didn't install Yoast SEO. I actually have another video about that. You can check that out if you want. And I also installed and activated Backup Buddy. So let's go back to our list. And what I'm going to actually do before we go into some of these plugins and configure a couple of them, I'm actually going to select all of them like that, putting a check in the box and hovering over the bulk actions, click deactivate, apply. Then we're going to do a site speed test real quick. I'm going to copy my URL like this, go back to pingdom.com, tools.pingdom.com, paste in our URL, and we'll do a speed test. And let's take a look at the results. Performance C, not bad. Load time 1.15 seconds, faster than 87% of all sites. That's pretty darn good. Actually, of course, our site doesn't have anything on it. Let's go back to our plugins page now, and we're going to put a check in that box one more time. Bulk actions, and we're going to activate and click apply. Then we're going to go back to Pingdom, and we're going to do that test one more time. All right, we'll go ahead and click Start Test and check out our site speed now that we have all those plugins installed and activated. Now our results are different. Our performance grade actually went up from a C to a B because of one of the plugins that we installed and activated. Our load time, of course, is increased, and our faster time, we're faster than 74% rather than faster than 87%, just because we have a little bit more on our site. Of course, we don't have any pages or anything yet, so our load time will probably go down a little bit as we add more stuff to our site. But this is a good way to test out and see if plugins are slowing down your site or not. Let's go back to our plugins page. Let's check out some of these. We'll use the Access Press Social Icons in a little bit. Akismet. Now this is a anti-spam plugin. It's been around for quite a while, and it does its job pretty well. It's not free. It's about 40 bucks a year if you are using it for your site as a business site, a commercial site. It's free for personal sites though, and it does work pretty well. But actually what I'm using nowadays is a plugin called WP-Spam Shield instead of Akismet. So what I'm going to do is actually deactivate and delete Akismet. Alright, I got rid of that Akismet plugin. Backup Buddy, great backup plugin. It's not free, but I use it for all my sites. Black Studio Tiny MCE widget, we'll cover that when we go over the widgets section. Contact Form 7, very good plugin we're going to use for our contact form. We're going to make a contact page on our site. Elementor, we're going to use that as our page builder. Great plugin, we're going to cover that a little later. MetaSlider, a great free slider plugin. We'll make a slider on a page on our site. Tiny MCE Advanced, great plugin. It enhances the visual editor features, which we are going to use to configure our pages. In fact, let's hover over Settings and click on Tiny MCE Advanced and configure this one really quick. There are a couple things we can do to add to our Tiny MCE Advanced plugin. Make sure that you have this box checked, by the way. And here's where you can add more features to your visual editor screen. This might look familiar if you ever used a Word document, Word, Microsoft Word or anything. Pretty similar. I'm going to add, I like strike through, I'm going to add that, just drag it up there, hold your left mouse down and drag it up to the section up here. And we'll add, let's see, one more background color for our text. Put it right here next to the text color. Horizontal line, I'll add this one up here. And that's enough for now. You can add more as you see fit. I'm just going to click on Save Changes. Then we'll go back to our plugins page. The next plugin is the W3 Total Cache plugin. Caching plugins, there's a bunch of them besides this one, will help your site load faster. It stores your site to content in a cache rather than calling it up from where it is on your server. So it decreases your load time, I should say. In fact, if we take a look over at our website speed test, we notice our performance grade went from a C to a B. That is because of the W3 Total Cache plugin. There's a few settings we can tweak here. Normally, you can just use it right out of the box, and it works pretty well. There are a bunch of settings you can tweak if you really want to get into it. But under Performance, let's click on General Settings. I clicked on Performance, by the way. And we just want to make sure that Page Cache is enabled. So we're going to put a check in this box right here. Then under Page Cache Method, we want to make sure it says Disk Enhanced. If it doesn't say Disk Enhanced, if you're using something besides a shared server, of course, you would have different options, but most people use shared serving. So Disk Enhanced, then click on Save All Settings. And we'll scroll down and just check out one more thing here. We want to make sure that our browser cache is enabled, and it normally is by default, so it's all good there, and that's all you really have to do for W3 Total Cache. You can get more involved and really tweak things if you're really getting into checking out your site speed, but that's all we're going to do in this video. I'm going to click Installed Plugins one more time. WordFence Security, you can turn on the WordFence firewall if you want. I'm just going to leave it as is. The WP Smush plugin, this helps optimize your images on your site. Of course, we don't have any right now. If you click on Settings under WP Smush, and the WP Smush plugin will help you optimize your images, reduce the file size, and they do have a premium version of this plugin also. If you already have some images on your site before you installed and activated this plugin, you can click on this Recheck Images. You can click on this one right here, Enable Resize Savings. Like that, your settings have been updated. So a very good plugin, helps reduce the file size of your images, just like I said, and it's free. Let's go back to our installed plugins page. And our last plugin, WP Spam Shield, we're using this instead of Akismet. You can click on settings. I've already got it opened up in another page. Of course, this just helps you block all those spammy comments that show up on your site if you allow people to comment on your blog posts. There's a bunch of different settings you can check over here. I'm not going to get into it, but there's a lot of documentation on their site, so you can check that out if you want. All right, now we have our plugins installed and activated, which will add a lot of nice features to our site. Now let's talk about the appearance of our site. So let's hover over appearance. Well, let's just click on appearance, and we'll check out the WordPress themes. And this is your themes page. It shows you which WordPress themes you currently have installed on your site. Now, WordPress themes are just a bunch of code, and you don't have to know anything about how they work to use them, thank goodness. And they provide the framework of your site. And there's all types of WordPress themes, some that are very simple and basic, and then there's some that have all kinds of whistles and bells and doodads on them. And I kind of tend to stay away from those, even though they look pretty cool, like the ones on Theme Forest, if you've ever seen those themes. They have a lot of different features, but I just don't tend to use all those kind of things. I like to add my features and functions to my WordPress theme with using plugins rather than have them built into the WordPress theme itself. They just tend to work better that way, in my opinion. Right now we have 3 basic default WordPress themes from WordPress.org installed on our site. WordPress.org usually comes out with a theme about once a year, and they're named after the year they come out in, 2016, 2015, and currently the default theme at the time of this video is the 2017 theme. The default themes from WordPress.org are good, solid, basic themes, and they're always kept updated. So a lot of WordPress developers actually use the default theme as a starting point and then customize them. Of course, they're doing a bunch of code and that sort of thing, and we're not going to do any of that in this video. In fact, let's get rid of a couple of these off our desktop just to get rid of the clutter. So let's click on Theme Details under the 2015 theme. Down at the bottom right, there's a delete button. Go ahead and click on that. And I'm going to do the same thing for the 2016 theme too. All right, that leaves us with the 2017 theme. And I'm sure it's a decent theme in its own right, but we aren't going to use that one either. Let's click Add New up here in the top left by Themes. Here are a bunch of featured themes from WordPress.org in the WordPress.org theme depository, I think it's called. And these are all free themes. Some of them probably are decent themes. I don't really tend to use too many free themes myself, just because they're free, so the theme author doesn't make any money from them, and they tend to lose motivation a lot of times because, well, they're not making any money, so they stop updating them. Some of the free themes are pretty nice, though, and I have used a few of them. You can check out their featured themes, popular, latest, favorites. You can click on the feature filter like this and do a search for different themes according to what features they have. 1, 2, 3, 4 columns, footer widgets, front page posting, a blog style, e-commerce style, etc., etc. But we are actually going to search for a specific theme that I have in mind for this video called Generate Press. So just go ahead and type that in there. And there's the Generate Press theme that we are going to use in our video. So let's go ahead and click Install. And once you get it installed, go ahead and click on Activate. All right, now we have Generate Press installed and activated on our site. Now let's click on this blue Customize button under Generate Press. And this is our Customize screen. Over on the right, it shows you a preview of your site. Over on the left, you have different sections, different aspects which control the look and layout of your site. And what you see over here on the left is pretty much dependent on which theme you're using. So different themes have different options over here in your Customize screen. For instance, the Generate Press theme, which is a free theme, which I like a lot, but it has a premium add-on plugin which adds a bunch of more functions and features to the Generate Press theme. And I actually am going to show you about the premium plugin, the add-ons plugin for Generate Press, towards the end of the video. We're just going to use the free theme right now. If we click on Site Identity, for instance, we can change our site title or hide it if we wanted to. We can upload a logo. Under Layout, we have our header, primary navigation, which is your navigation menu, sidebars, footer, etc. Typography has to do with the text that your theme uses. We can control the font family and font weight, etc., the font size, etc. The blog, navigation menus, widgets, which we'll cover in a little while. Static front page, go ahead and click on that. And right now our front page is displaying our latest blog post. And by default there is a Hello World default blog post. But perhaps we want to have our front page be a static web page. So let's click on Static Page. And for our front page, remember we made the home page. We'll go ahead and select that. And for our post page, we will select Blog. And we'll click Save and Publish. And of course, if you want your front page to display your latest blog post, you wouldn't do this. Let's go back to the main Customize screen. What we are going to do first is actually make a simple text logo and use it for our logo of our site. Then we'll add some social icons over here on the right in our header section. Then we'll make a couple basic web pages. We'll talk about widgets, which is this section over here in your sidebar. We'll just make a couple of basic web pages just using the WordPress text editor. Then we're going to get into customizing our site a little bit further and use the Elementor page builder plugin and build out some more pages on our site. So the first thing we are going to do is actually go over to Pixlr.com, Pixlr.com. Very cool site. It's free. You can do a lot of the stuff that you can do, if, say, on Photoshop. Not quite as much, of course, but it is free. In fact, we're just going to click on Pixlr Editor, click on Launch Web App, and we'll make our simple text logo. You can also use Pixlr to edit images, edit their size, and so on, and we'll do that a little bit later in the video. But the first thing we are going to do is click on Create a New Image. And that reminds me, let's go back to our Customize section and actually click on Site Identity and click on Logo. Actually, it's not going to tell us right here. Right here it is. Suggested image dimensions 350 by 70. So if we want to use their suggested logo size, we'll make a logo about 350 by 70 over on Pixlr.com. So let's go back here. So let's just actually type in 350 by 70, and we'll just use that as a starting point for our logo, since that is the suggested image size, logo size. And let's also put a check in this box which says transparent. And we'll click OK. There it is right here. We can drag this around a little bit if we want down the middle of our screen. Under Tools here, there's a bunch of different options you can use, kind of similar to Photoshop, like I said. I'm not going to get into a big Pixlr tutorial here, but we are going to click on the Type tool, Actually, we'll click inside this image right here. There we go. Now we'll have our text type tool. I'm just going to type in my easy WP like that. We can change our font size if we want just by doing that and making it a little bigger like this. Maybe a little bit bigger than that even. Like that. We can change our font style. We can change our font family. Maybe we'll try, let's see, we'll try this one right here. Maybe Acme. We'll try Acme and we'll try the bold style of Acme like this. We can change our color of our font. Maybe I'll make it a little bit of a orangish color like this. Click inside this area right here to choose your color. After you've chosen the basic color scheme right here, then you can narrow it down inside this box right here. I'll make it kind of an orange like this and click OK. There we go. Let's just go ahead and click inside this again and open up our text box and actually make it just a little bit bigger. We'll adjust the size a little bit. Then you can drag it around by placing your mouse and holding your left mouse down. And we could actually try making it a little bigger if we wanted to fill out our logo size. And click your mouse in there. There we go, about like this. Click OK. We have a transparent background, which is good because we don't want anything to show in our background. And a couple things about using Pixlr. You notice over here where it says layers. We have two layers right now. We just have our basic transparent background layer right here. And then we have our text layer right here. If I uncheck that layer, the text will disappear. I have this text layer selected. You see the light blue. If I select down here, this one is selected. So select the text layer. Up here in the tools, here is the crop tool. If I select that, then I click inside the image and hold down my left mouse, I could actually crop this further if I wanted to, but I'm not going to do that. So I'm just going to click there again and click no. And then here is the move tool. If I have the text layer selected, then I can actually move this around a little bit by holding down my left mouse when I have the move tool selected. If I don't have this text layer selected, if I have this text layer selected, click inside this here and I'm not moving anything around because, well, there's nothing to move in this layer. So select this layer, hold down my left mouse with the move tool selected, and move it around like this. All right, let's go ahead and save this image. So click File, then click Save. And for our name, we have logo, which I already did earlier when I was practicing. For the format, we want to save this in a transparent PNG right there. PNG, transparent, full quality. And we'll go ahead and click Save and save it somewhere on your computer where you can find it, hopefully. There we go. Now let's go back to our Customize section. Hey, I just wanted to add a little bit more to our Pixlr editor section using the Pixlr editor to make our simple logo. Some of you perhaps maybe want to add maybe an icon in front of the text of your simple logo you're making in Pixlr. So very simple to do, and I'm going to show you how to do that. To find icons, of course, you can just go online and do a search for icons, free icons. Here's two sites on my wphowtos.com post that I have for you guys. Couple of different places I've found that have pretty nice icons, Icon Finder and flaticons.com. Some of them are paid for, but you can get some of these for free too, and they have a lot of cool icons you can check out. Here's also a site, perhaps if you want to check into making different color schemes for your website. Click right here. It shows you different complementary color schemes you can check out. I also have this link on this post here on my wphowtos.com site, paladin.com. You can check that out. All right, let's go back to the Pixlr editor. First thing we're going to do, I'm just going to click inside here and make this text a little bit smaller. I'll click the arrow right there, hold down my left mouse and drag the text over like this so we have room for our icon. I'll click OK, go to File, click Open Image. I've already got a couple icons that I uploaded from one of those icon sites I just showed you. I'll double click on this one right here. It'll open up in the Pixlr editor. You notice it has a transparent background. You see the checkerboard here. That's what we want, of course, is a PNG file with transparent background. It opens up in its separate window with its own layer right there. You can see it right there. If I click on our text logo right here, you see the layers here. This is the layers for this one. I'll click back inside our icon layer section or window here. I'm just going to hold down my left mouse and drag this layer right over here and drop it right in here, just like this right here. There we go. Now it's on our text logo layers. See, it opens up in a new layer when you drag it over here. It puts a copy of the layer right inside your other window. But we want to make it a little smaller, so I'm going to click Edit Then I'm going to click Free Transform. Now you notice these little blue boxes in the corner in the middle of the section. I'm just going to hold my mouse down in one of the corners of the section and hold down my Shift button so that it'll resize proportionately. Otherwise it's going to look all skewed if you don't hold down your Shift button. I'll drag it to about what I want it, the size I want it. Hold down my left mouse and drag this around like this. There we go. I'll line it up. Looks about right. I'll click inside this window right here. Yes, I want to apply the changes. And there we go. There we have our new logo, text logo with the icon right here too. So I'll just have to save it as a transparent PNG. So click File, Save. Save it as a logo with icon like this. Format, we want to save it as a PNG like this, transparent, full quality. Click OK to save it, of course, and save it where you want to on your computer. I'll just replace the one I've already tested out on. Yes, let's like that. And there we go. Now we have a different logo with not just the text. We also have an icon there, so that's all there is to it. Of course, you don't have to have an icon. You can also put an image in there, whatever you want. That is all there is to it. So now let's continue on. And let's click Select Logo. As you can see, I've already actually experimented a couple times here, but I'll upload our image again. Go ahead and drag and drop it right here. And then we'll just click Select. We're just going to click Skip Cropping. And now you can see our logo uploaded along with our site title. And of course, we don't want both of them to show. So what I'm going to do is put a check in the box which says Hide Site Title. And there we go. There's our text logo showing up instead of our site title. So I'm going to click Save and Publish. All right, we've got our logo. Now we're going to add some social icons over here on the right in our header area. But first we have to configure our social icons plugin. So let's go to our dashboard, and then over on the left you'll see Access Press Social Icons. Of course, you have to have that Access Press plugin installed to see this. But once you do see this, click on Add New Set under Access Press. And you need to name your set of social icons. Make sure you put a name in there. So I'm just going to call it Social. And you can choose either icons individually or from themes that they have. We'll just choose from their available themes by clicking there. And they have a bunch of different themes you can use. Let's try the black and white ones for the heck of it. Click right in there. And they have a bunch of different icons you can choose from. But in order to get the social icons to show up, you have to configure which ones that you want to show. So we'll start with the Facebook icon. You have to put an icon width and height in there. I'm just going to use 32 pixels. Make sure to put in the PX in there too. I think you need to have that showing too. I'll just paste in 32 by 32. Have to put a link to wherever you want it to link to. I'm just going to use my Facebook page for WP How-Tos right there. Icon link target, that means either you open it up in a new window or in the same window. And we always want to open it up in a new window or tab instead of closing out our site. Let's set up a couple more icons. We'll do the Twitter. I'll just do the same thing, 32 by 32 for the size. And I'm just going to use my Facebook URL. Of course, you'd want to use your Twitter URL if you're actually configuring your Twitter icon. And open up in a new window. That's what we want. We'll try YouTube, our last icon. Same width and height, 32 by 32, like this, just like that. And we've got a name for our social icon set. Now, if you don't put a name in there, you'll lose everything that you've already configured. So make sure you have a name of your social icon set. And we'll just click Save. Now, under Appearance, click on Widgets. That will take you to your widget page, and you'll see your available widgets. And there's a bunch of default ones from WordPress. And you'll also see some widgets if you do have certain plugins installed. Like right here, this is the Access Press Social Icons widget, which we are going to use. And here's the Visual Editor widget, which you'll see if you install and activate the Black Studio Tiny MCE plugin. And over on the right, you'll see the available widget areas. For the Generate Press theme, you'll see the right sidebar, left sidebar, the header widget area, which is what we are going to use for our social icons, and the footer widget area. Let's go to our site. Here's the right sidebar area with the different widgets showing. You don't have to have this showing on your page if you don't want to, or you could have a left sidebar, you could have left and right sidebar, or no sidebars at all. If I scroll down the page, here's our footer widget area. There's 3 of them showing by default. Go back to our widget area. You can have up to 5 footer widgets for the GeneratePress theme, depending on what you want. So on the right sidebar area, which we have showing on our page, we have our search and recent posts and calendar, recent comments. If we didn't want one of them to show up, say the recent comments, we could just drag it over here to the left and drop it. Now it's not going to show up. If there's a widget that you've configured, say a custom widget of some sort, you've configured and styled it and such and such, and you decided you don't want to use it right now, but you really would hate to see all the work that you put into it go to waste, what you can do is left click and drag it down to the inactive widgets area. If I can get to it, here it is right here. You just drop it in right here. After you do that, it's not going to show in your sidebar, but you can always drag it back up without losing any of the settings that you already went to the trouble of configuring. So to get our social icons to show up in our header area, we're just going to drag the AccessPress social icons widget over here to the header widget area. Right here, we'll just drop it in here. You could put a title in there if you wanted to. I'm just going to leave it blank. Choose your icon set. Oops, it looks like I'm going to have to refresh the page. All right, I'll try one more time. AccessPress. There we go. And now I'll choose icon set, social. There we go, and click save. Go back to our site and refresh the tab. And there are social icons showing up right here. Now if I click on one of them, say the Facebook one, it opens up my WP How To's Facebook page in a new tab. You can also display your social icons using a shortcode. If we go back to our AccessPress social icons area, here's the shortcode. Just click inside it once, right click and copy. If we went back to our widget area, for instance, and instead of using the AccessPress widget, we could just use the visual editor, drag it over to our footer widget right here, paste in that shortcode, and click save. Of course, it'd probably be easier just to use the AccessPress social icons widget, but you could use this shortcode in a page content itself if you wanted to, and things like that. So if we go back to our site again and refresh the tab, and there's our social icon showing up there down at the bottom too. And since we're configuring the header of our site, let's go back to the customize section. Well, actually, if you take a look right here, you can see the background on either side of the content because we have our page content in a contained area, not full width. If we go back to the customize area, click the back arrow to get back to the main customize section, click on layout. Say we want the header to be conforming to the rest of the content area, have a box look to it. First click on header, and for header width, click the arrow and then click contained. Go back to the layout section, click on primary navigation, and for our navigation width, instead of having it full, we can click contained like this. Now our site is more of a traditional box looking website, and we'll just click save and publish. Of course, we can always change it back later if we want to. Now talking about our menus, by default, WordPress will show the all the pages that you've made on your site, and I added a couple more. You can see right here, contact and about us, so we could have more pages to display in our menu. But by default, it'll just show it in the order that you've made your pages, and you can't really change this order unless you make a custom menu. So let's go back to our dashboard, hover over appearance and click on menus. And the first thing we need to do is create a menu. For a menu name, menu 1 is fine because we're only going to create one menu anyway. I'll just click create menu. And here are the pages. It already added all the pages that I've added to the site so far to our menu. We have two homes showing. I think by default it must make, GeneratePress must make a default home menu item. So I think I'm going to remove one of them because I don't think both of them show up anyway. I'll click remove. Under menu settings, auto add pages. If you want WordPress to automatically add new top level pages to your menu, automatically you can put a check in this box. I'm just going to leave it unchecked. Display location, primary menu is our only choice, but we want it to show, so we'll put a check in that box and click save menu. And the way your menu items display is the top one is on the far left and so on and so forth. So if I drag the blog up above about us and then click save menu, that's the order it's going to show on our page now if I reload our tab. And we've already got all our pages added to our menu by default. Of course, if I didn't want one to show up, I would click the down arrow and then remove it like that. If I added more pages to my site and I wanted it to show in the navigation menu, right over here on the left under pages, I would put a check in the box next to the page I wanted to add to the menu, and then of course just click add to menu and it would show up right down at the bottom, and then I could drag it and put it wherever I wanted to. You can add more than just your pages to your navigation menu. You can add blog posts like Clicking on this arrow right here, we only have one blog post right now, but we could add it to our menu if we wanted to. You can add custom links to your menu. Say if I pasted in my Facebook page URL right here, there it is right there. And for the text that's going to show up in the menu, I'll just put FB like this and click Add to Menu. There it is right down here at the bottom of the page. I can drag it up here and maybe drag it underneath our About Us page, kind of indented so it'll be a sub-menu item. And we want our custom links to open in a new tab or window. Let's see if we have that option yet. So I click the down arrow and expand. What we need to do is scroll up to the top of the page. Over on the top right, you see Screen Options. Click that down arrow. Then where it says Show Advanced Menu Properties, put a check in the box which says Link Target. Now if we scroll down the page, you see we have the option to open up this link in a new tab, and that's what we want. So we'll put a check in that box like that. So now if somebody clicks on the Facebook link, the FB link right here, to take them to our Facebook page, it won't close out our website, which is what we want. If your site is a blog, you most likely will want to have your blog categories in your menu. Say if you had a sports blog and you had a football, basketball, baseball, hockey, etc. As your blog categories, those could be your menu items over here, along with maybe an About Us page. Let's go ahead and save our menu and go check it out on our website. And there is our custom menu. If we hover over the About Us, you see the little down arrow. There is our FB custom link. Of course, if we click on that, it opens up our Facebook page in a new tab. Now we are actually going to start adding some content to our site. First, we'll talk about blog posts, categories, tags, and how to make a blog post. And then we'll make a simple WordPress page just using the normal WordPress editor, text editor, visual editor. Then after that, we'll start using the Elementor Page Builder plugin. Very cool free plugin, which allows you to do a lot more stuff, building out pages and posts on your site. So first thing we are going to do is go to our dashboard. And I just noticed one thing. If you notice right here where it says 4 and it has a little refresh symbol there, that is our update. So let's click on that first of all. And we do have the latest version of WordPress, so we don't have to update that. And while we're talking about updates, I'll tell you my procedure on updating WordPress. Now, if I do have a site that's, say, if I was running WordPress 4.6.6, and then they updated to the next major version of WordPress, which would be 4.7. They go in it goes from 4.6 to 4.7 to 4.8. Those are the major releases of WordPress. Then they have their security or bug fixes, which would be 4.7.1 or 4.7.2, etc., etc. What I do if I have WordPress 4.6 whatever installed on a site, I will not update to WordPress 4.7, the next major release of WordPress, until they come out with their first or second bug fix. Reason being is that a lot of times when they first come out with a new major release, the plugin authors and theme authors don't have the time to actually work out all the bugs and get compatible with the newest version of WordPress. So I usually wait however long it takes, a month or two or whatever, and then update WordPress when it comes out to the next minor security or bug fix release. So that's what I do when I update WordPress. All right, we have some plugin and theme updates right down here. Our theme Generate Press needs to be updating, so we're going to put a check right here and then click on this button right here, Update Themes. Go back to the update page. And I'm just going to update all these plugins that need updating too. I'll just put a check in the box and click Update Plugins. All right, we got that taken care of. Now let's click on Posts over here on the left. And that will take you to your blog post page, your posts page, to show all your blog posts that you have on your site. And of course, we only have one blog post because we haven't made any yet, the default Hello World blog post. Now, if your site isn't a blog, having the blog post show on your front page, your home page, maybe you are considering whether you even want a blog on your site. Well, blogs are actually a very good idea for most types of websites, local business sites, affiliate sites, e-commerce sites, you name it. Blog posts are actually a good way to promote your site. And Google likes seeing recent updated content on your site. Now, it doesn't have to be anything complicated. In fact, here are a few tips I've wrote down give you a few ideas on making blog posts. You can make a short blog post about some local news event, some special event going on in your area. It doesn't have to be anything at all to do with your business. It doesn't have to be related to your business at all. Just post a short comment and a link back to somewhere which tells more about the local news or special event you're talking about. Another very popular way to get content for your blog is to do what is called curation. And a curated blog post would be about some helpful topic which would hopefully be related to your service or business type, or some trending news that's about your business type that you offer. And you just basically post a few sentences, a paragraph talking about the content which you are going to use. And then you basically copy part of the content from the post that you're talking about. It's not actually a good idea to copy the whole post or page that you're using on your curated blog post, but part of it, and you can use their images too. You always want to put a attribution link linking back to the original content. Always a very good idea to do that. You can post a review from a client or customer of yours as a blog post, a short blog post about some recent service or job that you did. Of course, you don't want to use the exact address that you did. It could just be kind of a generalized location, the neighborhood you performed the job in, and such, maybe some pictures even. You can make a post about a sale that you're running, or a special event or a special offer that you're running, and so on. So the basic idea is just to do it, as the saying goes. Just do it on a regular basis. It doesn't have to be complicated at all to make blog posts. All right, so let's make a blog post ourselves. So let's click on Add New under Posts. And that is going to take us to our Add a New Post section, the WordPress post editor. First thing we'll do is make a title for our blog post. I'll paste something in there. Where is it? There we go, right there. And this big blue button right here, Edit with Elementor, the Elementor page builder, the plugin that we installed. You can, of course, use that to style your blog posts. We are not going to right now because, well, we haven't really covered Elementor yet, which we will be doing shortly. So right down here, the WordPress post editor. We're in the visual editor right now. You notice all this stuff. It probably looks pretty familiar to you if you ever used any sort of Word, Microsoft Word, or anything like that. There's also the text editor, which you can use HTML code. Sometimes that's very handy to use because you just can't seem to get a particular space or whatever, what have you, using the visual editor. But we're not going to get into using the text editor right now. Click Visual. This white box here is where you add your content for your blog post. I'm just going to paste in another heading, WordPress Beginners Tutorial 2017. And I'm going to actually highlight this and make this a heading 2 right here. H2 tags wrapped around this. Your title is always going to show as a heading 1 and H1 tag. If I go to Customize section and click on the blog, there's the title right there. That's what's called H1 tags, heading 1. And this is the sample blog post that's on your site by default, the Hello World blog post. Go back to our Add New Post section. And I'll just click Enter once, and that'll give us a paragraph space. Actually, I'll show you. If you hold down your Shift button and click the Enter button on your keyboard, it'll give you a single space. If you don't hold down the Shift button and click Enter, it's going to give you a double space, paragraph space. Paste in some more content for our blog post right here. There we go. And I'm actually going to make this right here easy to install and set up. I'll make this an H3, a heading. There we go, just like that. There's our content. Now let's make sure to save our content before we go any further. Over here in the Publish section, you can save your post as a draft. Always a good idea to do unless you're going to finish, make a real quick blog post and finish it real quick. I always like to save everything, probably way more than I have to, just because I don't like losing stuff I've already made up. And you can preview your blog post. I'll click on the preview button. It'll open up in a new tab. Here's our blog post so far. Here's the title. Here's the heading 2. Here's the heading 3 in our content. Go back to our edit post section. You can add an image inside your content. Just place the cursor where you want to insert the image. I'll place it in front of that paragraph right here. I'll click on the Add Media button. Now you can drag an image over here and drop it just by clicking on Upload Files, and drag an image over here and drop it into this section right here. Or you can use a image that you've already uploaded to your media library. I'm going to use this image. No, actually, I'm going to use this image right here. Now you notice over on the right, here's the URL of the image on your site. Here's the title, and I like to put in a title, a basic title, and then put the same thing in for the alt text. You can also put a little bit longer description in the description section. It's kind of basic SEO for your site. And you can scroll down here and you can align it and do all sorts of stuff. We'll just leave it as is for now. Click Insert into Post. There it is right there. Now if we click inside the image, right up here you see the different alignment buttons. Right now it says no alignment. If I click Align Left, the text is going to be wrapped around on the right and the image is going to align left. Click Align Right. Do the same thing just in reverse. The text will be on the left, image on the right. We'll leave that as is. This pencil icon right here, of course you can also align it center right there. The pencil icon, I'll click the pencil icon, which is the edit icon, and you can edit it further if you want. You can change the size to basic sizes or a custom size if you want also. I'll just leave it as is. You can link it somewhere if you want. A custom URL, you can paste in a link so it'll take people wherever you want to if they click on this link, and so forth. I'm just going to click. No, I'm not going to click anything. I'm just going to close it out because I didn't make any changes. Over on the right hand side of the post editor page, we have our publish section. You can save your post as a draft, which of course we've done already, and you can preview it. You can also save your post as a pending review, which would probably be if you have more than one blog author. If somebody else is writing blog posts for you, you want to make sure that they look okay before you publish them on your blog. Your post can be public, it can also be password protected or private. You can stick this post to the top of the front page like that. By default, if you click on this publish button, it's going to publish immediately. You can also actually backdate your blog post so it'll look like that you've been making blog posts in the past for the past year or whatever you want. And you can also schedule your blog post out. So you could come and make several blog posts in one sitting and schedule them out to post once a week, twice a week, whatever you want. So you don't have to come back and make any more blog posts, but you'll have regular activity on your blog. Handy feature. But of course, if we click on the blue publish button right now, it's going to publish immediately. There are quite a few different formats you can use for your WordPress blog posts. Basically, I just use the standard blog post. If you want to learn more about some of these other formats, you can go to wordpress.org, and they have a bunch of information on there that you can check it out further if you'd like. Categories. Your blog post always has to be in at least one category. It helps your site visitors, find similar blog posts in the same category. And by default, it's going to go in this uncategorized category. I'm going to put it into the WordPress tutorials category that I already made. Uncheck uncategorized. And of course, if you want to add a new category, you just click on this blue link right here, add new category, and put in whatever you want. Now, the uncategorized category, if you don't choose a category for your blog post, it'll go into the default uncategorized category. If you go to Settings, Writing, you can actually change your default post category to whatever you want by doing this right here. And of course, clicking Save Changes after you change it. Tags. Your tags are kind of similar to categories. They help people find similar blog posts, with the same tags. But your WordPress post does not have to have tags. It just makes it more helpful for your site visitors. So we could put in something like WordPress and a comma, and then maybe tutorial, and maybe even video like that, and then click add for our category, our tags, excuse me. So there we go. Post attributes, we're just going to use the default template. If you use Elementor to make your blog post, then of course you probably want to choose the Elementor canvas template right there. Sidebar layout, we have our default sidebar layout chosen right now, and of course that is talking about, let's go to our customized page and click on blog. That's talking about the sidebar right here. And actually we're going to go to the customized section, click on layout first of all, and then we'll click on sidebars. This is our blog page, which will display basically all our blog posts that we make in reverse chronological order. So your newest blog post will show up on top of the blog page. And here's our blog sidebar layout for our blog page. You have our sidebar over on the left and then the content. You can change that if you want. If I click on Hello World, then you notice the sidebar is over on the right, which is right here, single post sidebar layout. This, of course, is the Generate Press stuff that allows you to change all this. And you can change this for your single blog post if you want. We're just going to leave it as is. Go back to Edit Post. You can also change your sidebar layout on a post-by-post individual basis if you wanted no sidebars at all. Put a check in this button right here, for instance. Footer widgets, you also have a default section, and of course, there is a section, if we go back in our layout section of our customize section, we can just click on footer and change our default footer layout if we wanted to. Also, go back here, page builder container. That's basically if you're using the Elementor page builder, you can choose one of these, full width or contained. Since we're not using Elementor, we're just going to leave it as default. Disable elements, you can disable the content title if we wanted to. For my blog post, I don't like to disable it, I just leave it as is. Featured image, let's go back to our customize section. Let's talking about this image right here, which I put in this our default Hello World blog post. Let's go back and let's add a featured image to our new blog post. I'm going to click on the Set Featured Image button. It'll take you to your media library. Of course, you can also drag an image over here and drop it if you'd like. I'm just going to use this image I've already uploaded to our media library right here. And you see I've already got a title here for basic image, WordPress image SEO, site SEO. The alt text and the title are the same. And I put a little bit more in there. I could probably expand on this if I wanted to for the description if I wanted to do that. And I'm just going to click on the Set Featured Image button right here. Then it's going to show up on the bottom of the page. Of course, you can remove it by clicking on this link right here. So that is all. So we've got our featured image and we've got our blog post basically finished. So what we're going to do is click Publish. Now we can't save it as a draft anymore. You just have to click Update when you make changes. If we go back to our Customize section, our blog page, and I'll click on Blog. Now here's our latest blog post that we've made showing up at the top of the page, and here's the featured image right here. If I click on How to Get Started with WordPress title right there, of course the featured image is actually going to be on top of the blog title. A few other things about your blog. Let's go to our dashboard. I'll go here and I'll hover over Appearance and click on Menus. Alright, so we're under Appearance, we're in the Menu section, and here's our menu right now. Now, if your site is going to be a blog and not a basic website, your blog posts are going to display on the front page. You will probably want to have your main blog categories in your menu item itself. So people, when they click on the blog category menu items, they'll be taken to your category pages, which will be similar to your blog page, except they'll just have the blog post displaying in reverse chronological order, your newest blog post first, of course, in that particular category. So that is something to keep in mind too. Now let's go to our dashboard again, and we'll just click on Posts. And of course, these are only 2 blog posts that we have on our site. If you had more, of course, they would be displaying the newest ones first. A lot of times you just get rid of this Hello World blog post. I just left it on there so I could demonstrate things. Now you can hover over a blog post and click on Quick Edit. And that'll just display main things that you can edit real quickly, just like it says. So you can change blog categories if you want, or add it to another category. You can allow comments, allow pings. I'm going to uncheck that. You can actually change the status from published to a draft or pending review again. You can make this post sticky, which means on your blog page or your category page, that particular blog post is going to be stuck to the very top of your blog page. Then, of course, if you make any changes, you'll click Update. Alrighty, that's all we're going to cover for about blogs and blog posts right now. Now we're going to start adding some more pages to our site and using the Elementor Page Builder. Alright, let's go ahead and click on Pages over on the left, and that's going to take you to this page here, which will list all the pages you have on your site. And then go ahead and click on the home page that we've already made up. Alright, that takes you to your WordPress page editor, which looks pretty much the same as the post editor that we were using just a little while ago to make our WordPress posts. And you can make your WordPress pages just using the basic WordPress editor, you know, the visual or the text editor like that, and the options over on the right. But what we are going to do is actually use the Elementor page builder plugin to make our pages on our website. But first, before we get started on Elementor, we've got to do a couple things here. So over on the right hand side where it says sidebar layout, we're going to select content no sidebars because we're making a full width page. And for page builder container, we're going to select full width, and disable elements. We're going to put a check in the box to disable the content title for this page. And this is all because of the Generate Press free theme that we're doing this right now. And we're going to click update. And then we're going to go over to the customize section. I'll go back a couple here, and you'll click on layout. Then we're going to click on header. And you're going to make sure that the header width says full, not contained. I've already changed it on this page. So full width, and then select primary navigation and make sure it says navigation width full on that, not contained too. If you have to change it, of course, you're going to click save and publish, but I've already done so. All right, now let's go back to our page, and we're going to click on Edit with Elementor, that big blue button right there. That's going to take you to the Elementor edit screen, and over on the right, this is a what you see is what you get page editor. And over on the right, you're going to see your page that you're editing. Pretty accurate representation. Not exactly correct, so you want to always check on your site too after you make some changes and save them. Go back to your site and see what it looks like after you do that. Go back to the edit screen. Now over on the left is all the elements that you can use to build out your pages. For instance, if I just click on Add New Section right here, and I'll choose the single column structure right here, just like that. And here is our section right here. And say if I wanted to add a heading to our page. So I'm going to drag the heading over here, and you see the blue line. I'll just let go of it. There's the default text. You can change that, of course, and of course you probably want to. And we can change the size right here. We can make it extra, extra large. Maybe align it in the center. I'll click Save. Go back over to our site, reload the tab, and there we go. There's the heading we just put in. Go back to our Elementor edit screen. We'll just get rid of that for now. Click on the red X's, yes. And I'll click on section and click the red X again, just like that. And I'll go ahead and save it again. And another very cool feature of Elementor are their pre-made templates. If you hover over the icon down at the bottom right, it'll say templates. If you click on it, like this, so you can have the option to open up the Elementor templates library, pre-made templates for you. You can also save your pages as templates, your sections too. We'll take a look at that a little later. You can export them, use them on other sites that you use Elementor on. So a very cool feature. Click on templates library. It'll open up the pre-designed templates library. And right here it says my templates. Of course, like I talked about, you can save your templates too. If you hover over the template and it'll say insert, you can insert it for free. If it says Go Pro, of course, you're going to have to buy the Pro version of Elementor. If you click on this little magnifying glass with the plus sign, it'll give you a closer look at the template. And if you click insert, it's going to insert all of this into your page. All the formatting and all the images and everything is going to be done for you, so you can reverse engineer and replace all the content with your own, of course. It gives you a great head start on making a page for your site, and it's also a great way to learn how to use Elementor. And we are going to actually insert a template or two into our pages and reverse engineer, show you how to do that. But before we do that, of course, we have to know the basics of using Elementor before we start reverse engineering anything. So the first thing we are going to do is go over the basics of using Elementor, and then of course we'll start building out our page using Elementor. Up in the top left corner, you see these three horizontal lines. Go ahead and click on those. And here's some basic settings you can choose in Elementor. Global color scheme. This is the default color scheme. Primary, secondary, text, and accent colors, which are going to be your default colors, whichever colors you have selected here. And of course, you can choose different colors on a page by page or section by section basis too, and I'll get into that a little bit more. And there's a different color default color schemes you can use. For instance, this one right here, dark blue is your primary color for your headlines and stuff. Here would be your text color. And you can also just click inside one of these colors and change the color individually if you want. I'm just going to click reset and go back to the default colors. Click the lines again. Global fonts, kind of the same principle. Choose your default font for headlines and body text and etc. and the font weight, which is how bold your text is. Go back to the lines color picker, and like it says right here, choose which colors appear in the editor's color picker. This makes accessing the colors you choose for the site much easier. And it's the same principle. They have a bunch of different palettes you can choose from, but these are colors that you probably want to use, that you would be using fairly often when you're making your building out your pages. And it makes it a lot easier. It's not having to keep finding the color codes and that sort of thing. And you can replace the color codes individually just by clicking on the color, just like that. And of course, clicking save after you've made any changes. And the revision history, this makes it very handy to have. You know, if perhaps you made some changes and you don't want to keep them, or you want to go back to an earlier version, you can use the revision history. Page settings. This is the title of our page, which we are hiding right now. And it says hide title. We're using the GeneratePress theme, so that's what we're using to hide or show our titles. So I think it probably overrides this right here with the Elementor, but this is probably be helpful if you're not using the GeneratePress theme. The template default, Elementor canvas, we're going to use that and build out a landing page a little later. That's just going to get rid of all this stuff on top here, the header, the navigation bar, and the footer down below. We're just going to use the default for now. Status, you can change your status to draft or private, etc., just like that. Click on the lines again, delete all content. Make sure you know you really want to delete all the content before you do that. Elementor settings, if I click on that, it's going to open up a different tab and just some stuff. You can put checks and boxes if you want to disable global colors and disable global fonts and that sort of thing. And about Elementor, of course, you can find out more about Elementor by clicking on this, and it will take you to elementor.com. All right, down at the bottom left, if we click on this X icon, you can view your page by clicking on this right here. It'll open up in a new tab. Here's our home page. And of course, you can go to your dashboard by clicking here. The responsive mode, very handy feature of Elementor. We're looking at the desktop preview, which is a default. Here's the tablet preview. Here's the mobile phone preview. And very important nowadays to design your site with mobile viewers in mind too, because so many people use mobile phones, iPads, iPhones, and all that sort of jazz to surf online. In fact, in Elementor, you can actually design sections of your pages which will show, say, on desktop and not on tablet or mobile phones, and then vice versa. You can design another section which won't show on the desktop view, but will show on the tablet and or mobile view, because a lot of times things will change when, of course, you shrink your screen size down. Sometimes your headlines and fonts and all that sort of stuff just won't look the same when you shrink the screen size down, and vice versa. So I'll show you what I'm talking about a little bit later when we start making our pages. Click on the question mark. Of course, that's your help section. You can take a tour, go to the documentation, and we already looked at our templates here, pre-designed templates, Elementor, and saving your page as a template too. All right, let's go ahead and click on the little box with the dots on it, and that is going to open up our elements section, the elements that we have available to use to build out our pages. And this is the free version of Elementor we're taking a look at, but there's a lot of stuff we can do using the free version of the Elementor plugin. You can even use WordPress widgets and Elementor to build out your pages. Now, of course, the pro version of Elementor, which we are going to take a look at towards the end of our video, does have some unique pro version elements that you're not going to see unless you buy the pro version. But there's a lot of stuff you can do with the free version, I should say, and that's what we're going to use for the majority of our video. So first thing we're going to do is click Add New Section. All right, then we'll just have to choose our structure, select our structure within the section. We have a lot of different column structures we can choose from right here, but we're just going to choose the single column structure right now, because we're just going to have a single column structure with a background image and some headlines and some buttons for people to click on. Now if I hover my mouse up here, here's our section. along with the single column inside the section itself. If I click on this light gray section tab over here on the left up at the top, it's going to say Edit Section. If I hover my mouse over here and click on the darker gray column tab, it's going to say Edit Column over here. Let's go ahead and click on Edit Section, the section tab anyway, I should say. Now down below the Edit section, you're going to see 3 tabs, which you'll see basically in all the elements that you edit with Elementor: the Layout, the Style, and the Advanced tabs. Right now we're in the Layout tab. Right now our content width is boxed, and it's using the default content width, which you can change in your Elementor page settings page, which we took a look at a little bit ago. You can also adjust your content width for your boxed container width by dragging this over to wherever you want, or using these up and down arrows to get the right value, the right content width you want. But what we are going to do is select full width for our content width. And for columns gap, we don't have more than 1 column, so we don't even have to worry about that right now. The height we'll leave at default. Content position, I think I'll just choose middle for that. And I'll go ahead and click Save. I like to click Save probably way more often than I need to, just because I hate losing things, and it does happen on occasion. All right, now we have our section right here with our single column structure. All right, now let's click on the Style tab. Under Style, if I close this up, we have background, border, shape divider, and typography. Let's go ahead and open up the background again. For our background type right now, we have none. You can also use classic, which is an image or a color. And you can have a gradient for a background, and you can have a background video, which is basically just put in a YouTube video URL, and it'll play in the background without the audio playing. So a very cool feature, which we'll look at a little later. Let's choose classic for our border type. First, we're going to select a color. I always like to have a color, kind of a backup color background, just in case our image doesn't load or loads real slow. And we're going to use white text. So I'm going to click this darker color right here as our background color as a backup. Then I'm going to click this little plus sign inside the image box here to upload a background image. And you can drag an image and drop it on here to upload it to your media library, or you can choose from an image that's already uploaded, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to choose this image right over here. And you notice I have, for the title and the alt text, I have WordPress tutorials. I always like to use some sort of keyword phrase, something related to the page that the image is on, for just kind of basic SEO. Everything kind of adds up if you're trying to get your page ranked at all, that is. And another tip, if you're going to have more than one image on a page, don't use the same phrase for your title and alt text for more than one image. Change it up a little bit. You can also put a longer description in here with some keyword phrases there if you want to. I'm just going to click Insert Media. And there's our background image, such as it is so far. Here it's showing right here. We have position of our background image. I'm just going to choose center like this. You can play around with that if you want. Attachment, it can be scroll or fixed. Let's leave it at default. Repeat, I always like to make it repeat or repeat on the x-axis. That x-axis is basically the horizontal axis. I'll just choose repeat. That's just in case the screen size is too big for your image and you have some white space on either side. That way this image will just start repeating if that happens, which it probably won't. For size, I think I'm going to choose cover for our size and click Save. And if we go over to our page, reload the tab, our image actually isn't going to show up yet because we actually don't have anything inside this section besides a background. But let's change that. So let's click on those dots, and I'm going to drag a heading element over here, and you see the light blue line show up. That's where it's going to be inserted. Just go ahead and let go. There is our default text inside our title and our default size and default color you're looking at. I'm going to go ahead and paste some other text in here to replace that default text, just like this. And not going to link it. Size, we can actually choose kind of like this way. We can also adjust the size a little bit differently, which I'll show you in a minute. HTML tag, which is your heading tags. H2 is fine. H1 I wouldn't use for this heading here. I would use H2 or H3. For alignment, I'm going to align it in the center. And then I'm going to click on Style, and right up here at the top, remember we're editing our heading. Text color, I'm going to choose white, like that. Open up the title again. Typography, which has to do with your text, I'll go ahead and click on for that. And here's where you can adjust the size more than just small, medium, large, extra large. You can adjust it a little bit finer, tune it like this. I think I'll just, yeah, it looks about right, just like that. Font family, we'll leave it default. Font weight, I think I'll make it a little less bold. Maybe something like that. Well, maybe just a little bit more. Maybe I'll try 500. I think 600 is default. Transform, upper, lowercase, etc. We'll leave that alone. Style, normal with italic, oblique, we'll leave that alone. And we will click Save for now. And if we reload our tab on our page and take a look, here's our heading showing with just a little bit of the image so far. Let's go back to our Edit with Elementor page and let's click on the Advanced tab. Margin and padding. Now, element style, background and border responsive. Remember we talked about that a little bit. You can hide it on the desktop, hide it on tablet, hide it on mobile. Very cool feature. What you can also do when you're doing that is see the section tab. If I click on section, see right here where it says duplicate, you can actually duplicate the section and then make some changes to perhaps just show just on a mobile phone or that sort of thing. And we'll do something like that a little bit later. But now let's go back. Well, we're editing our heading, so I'll click on our heading inside our heading. Now we're editing our heading right here. Click on Advanced, Margin and Padding. Now margin is basically there's on all four sides outside the element itself, so it would be right here, top, left, bottom, and right. And padding is versus margin. Padding is inside the element itself, so padding would be around this heading element inside the section. You can take a look online, maybe do a search for what margin versus padding, the difference between, and just play around with it a little bit, and you'll start to understand a little bit better if you don't now. You see this link right here. Right now, if I put some padding margin in here, it's going to adjust the same. It's going to be the same on all four sides, the top, bottom, right, and left and right. I'll go back down to 0. If I unlink it, then you can adjust the values individually. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go down here for our padding and click the link to unlink it. And right here, here's our top padding. I think I'll just type in 200. And then for our bottom padding, I'll do the same, 200 for now. And I'll click Save. Go back and reload the tab of our page. All right, now we have our padding on the top and bottom of our heading element, so more of our image is showing. There's actually a way that I generally use instead of using the padding inside elements, which I'm going to show you. So what I'm going to do first of all is take out the padding on the top and the bottom of the heading element, like this. And then I'm going to click on the dots to open up our elements. And what I'm going to do is look for the spacer element, which does just what it says. It helps you put space inside your section. There's the light blue line on top of the heading element right here. And here's the space. I'll just adjust this like this, make it around 200. Then I'm going to click on the dots again and get another spacer element, drop it below our heading like this, and I'll adjust this until most of our image is showing. About like that is good. Then I'll click Save. Then we'll go back here and reload the tab, and it should look pretty close to the same. Now so we have our padding on top and bottom of the heading element itself. But one thing I do notice is that our heading does not show up very well because this image is too light. So let's change that. Let's go back to the Edit with Elementor page. We'll click up here top for section, so we're editing our section right here. Click on the Style tab, close the background, unexpand the background. Now we have our background overlay, which is what we want. Open that up. You have classic or a gradient background type you can use as a background overlay. We'll just click classic. Then we'll click on the color box right here. I'm just going to choose the black color right here. There we go. Now you notice how different that looks. The heading looks much better. You can adjust the opacity of the background overlay by dragging this right here using the arrows. I'll make it just a little bit darker, about like this. It looks pretty good just like that. I'll click Save. Now I'm actually going to put another heading right below this kind of a subheading. So I'm going to click on the arrows, drag another heading over here, drop it below here just like this. And I'll paste some different text in here for our title. And for our size, we'll change it with the typography for H2 tag. I think I'll make this an H3 tag. I'll align it to the center. Then I'm going to click on Style. Text color, I'm going to choose white. And I'm going to turn the typography on that has to do with our text. And I'm going to adjust the size of that like that. Looks good. And everything else I'm just going to leave the same and click Save. I reloaded our tab, and here's our text right now. And I'll probably we can fine-tune the position of this. In fact, I'll probably want to take out some of the spacer padding on the top here and increase it on the bottom, so this text will be more up here because we're going to add some buttons down below. So let's go ahead and do that now. I'll go back here, hover over this, find the section tab, click on that. We're editing our section. Actually, that's not what I'm going to do. I'm just going to click inside this top spacer right here, and I'm going to decrease the top like this. See if that'll work about like this. Then I'm going to click below here for the bottom spacer and increase. Let's see here. I'll click in here. There we go. Now you see the light blue lines around it. So that'll show you what you're editing. And I'm just going to increase this a little bit. Actually, it looks pretty good just the way it is. So I'm just going to click Save. Now we're going to add some buttons. So I'm going to actually click on this dots here to open up the elements. And we're going to first of all drag the columns element over here and drop it below that secondary headline just like that. And right now it has 2 columns by default, and I want 3. So what I'm going to do is actually click on the dark gray column tab, and I'm going to hover over this icon right here, which will say duplicate. Go ahead and click on that. Now we have 3 columns of equal width right here. That's what we want. Now I'm going to click on the dots again, find the button element, drag it over here and drop it inside one of the, well, if I can anyway, if it lets me. Sometimes you have to do this, which is what looks like what I'm going to have to do. So I'll let it go below the columns right here. And over here on the right hand side, you see these light blue boxes. The first box, hover your mouse over that. The 4 directional arrows will show up. Hold down your left mouse and drag it and drop it where you want it, just like that. All right, let's go ahead and click inside the button element to make sure we're editing our button over here on the left. What we are going to do actually, I think I'm going to expand the screen a little bit just like this. There we go. What we are going to do is actually style out our button right here, this first button, and do everything we want to get the button looking right. And then we're actually going to use the duplicate feature of Elementor. Very cool, nice feature to have right here. You just click on this just like this. See, it'll duplicate your element. Go ahead and close it out again. Delete it. So it'll save us quite a bit of time not having to actually go through the styling process more than once for the buttons, besides just changing the text of the buttons and changing the where they're linked also, of course. You can do the same thing with sections, for instance, right here. Notice this section right here. Well, if I hover over here, okay, I'll hover on the section right here, open it up. Right here, it'll say duplicate. If I just click on this, now you see 2 sections instead of 1. Go ahead and close it out again. Edit the section, click on section, and then click the X. Now we're back to our single section again. I'll click here, make sure we're editing our button. The light blue lines will surround the element that you're editing. First thing we'll do is change the button text. I'm using Clippo Paste, by the way, if you saw what I just did. Very handy feature if I haven't told you about that already. Clippo is a Firefox add-on. Check it out. Okay, for the link, we're just going to keep the pound sign, or the number sign in there actually, which will just link it to the current page it's on. But obviously we'll want to put a link in there at some point. You can align it center if you want, or right. We're just going to use the justified alignment like this. And for size, I think I'll use a large button like that. You can put an icon in there if you want, like this right here, before or after the heading, like this. But I'm actually not going to use any icons for our button, so I'm going to close it out again like that. And I think I'm going to click Save just to make sure I don't lose anything. Just a habit I'm into doing. Now I'm going to click Style on our Edit button. And right here at the very top it says Typography, which is talking about the text and stuff like that. So I'm going to turn that on. Then I'm going to fine-tune our text size inside the button. About like That maybe looks pretty good. I don't want it quite so bold though, so I'm going to make it a little less bold like that. 400 font weight. Transform and style, I don't need to change any of this. Line height and letter spacing, I'm going to leave that alone too. Scroll down the page a little bit, and right now you see it selected. We're editing the normal state of our button, which is when you're not hovering already. Click on this, then it's editing the hover portion of our button when you're hovering your mouse over it. It'll go back to normal. Text color, I'm just going to choose white. Background color, I'm going to actually click on that. Now you notice these two adjustable bars right here. Now if I do this right here, I'll do this. See, I can adjust the colors like that. And then the second one is it has to do with the opacity of your color. I'm going to scroll all the way down so it's clear like this, so we don't have any background color of our normal state of button like that. Border type, I'm going to choose solid. And then width, that's talking about the width of the border. You have to have some width or else it's not going to show. And right now it's linked. All the width values are linked. And that's what I want. I want to have all four sides equal. So I'm just going to choose, I'll choose maybe 2 pixels width. For color, this is the color of the border we're talking about right here. Scroll down a little bit. I'm going to choose white for the border too. Oops, did I choose it? Yeah, I'll choose white for the border right here. Click outside it. Border radius, we want it linked. And that's basically talking about the corners. You want to round your corners a little bit. I think I'm going to do that about maybe 4 would be good. Box shadow, text padding. We can make our button a little smaller. I'll just use maybe this for our text padding like that. And I'll click save again. And then I'm going to click on hover. So now we're editing the hover state of the button whenever someone hovers over your button. For text color, I'll just choose white. Background color, I'm going to actually paste in something I've already found using Clipple again. There we go right there, that blue right there. Border color, I'm going to choose white again like that. And animation, you can actually make it animated, make it pulse or grow and do all sorts of things. Border type will leave it the same as the normal button. Everything else will leave the same. And we'll click save again. So now you notice when we hover over a button, hover the mouse over a button, it'll be the dark blue background like that. And let's scroll back up here to the top. We'll click on advanced. Element style responsive, you can actually change your button, hide it on the desktop, hide it on laptop, etc. Custom CSS, if you know some CSS, you can use it. Open up the style again, and you can edit the margin and padding. For instance, if I did this with the margin, that's the margin all the way, all 4 sides around the button element itself, because remember, we're editing the button, so the margin is the margin of the padding around the outside of the element. So that's the outside of the button element within this column here. So that will do that, what I just did, but I'm just going to take it off like this, leave it 0. And padding is actually, well, let's see, I'll play with the padding. It does kind of the same thing when we're talking about the inside the column section. So sometimes margin padding is pretty confusing, but we're just going to leave it as is. I don't think I did any changes, but I'll click save just for the heck of it. And now we're just going to click duplicate. I'll just do it twice, and then I'll just drag it over here, drop it in over here, and then I'll do the same thing for this middle column like this. And I'll click inside this middle column, change the text for our middle button like this. Click inside our outside button, change the text for this one too. And I think one more thing I'll do just to demonstrate, I'll click inside our first button again, and for our link, I'll paste in a link right here. I'll paste in my WP How To's Facebook page. And right here where I hover over on the far right, it says open link in new tab. And that's what I like to do if it's taking somebody off the website, because I don't like to close down our website. So I'll select that too for opening up this link in a new tab. Click save. Go back to our page and reload the tab. And there are 3 buttons. And if I click on this one, it's going to open up my Facebook page in a new tab just like that. One thing I do notice though is I probably want to raise up the text and everything just up a little bit, so I have not quite so much padding on top and a little bit more on the bottom. So go back to our Elementor page, So first thing I'm going to do is click inside our top spacer element like this, and I'm just going to decrease that so it'll raise the text up and the buttons up a little bit. So I'll decrease that down about like that. Maybe that looks pretty good like that. And I'll click Save, reload our tab on our page, and that looks pretty good. You can fine tune that, of course, the padding and everything. Looks like if I scroll down, the image is still basically showing most of the image right there. So that looks pretty good right there. Alrighty, so that's the first section of our home page with our main heading and our secondary heading, and then our buttons right here, which will people can click on to take them to various sections of our website. Now, of course, there's other styles of landing pages that you can do besides just headings and buttons. For instance, right here, here's another very popular style on landing pages, especially with the dark gray background text box overlaying the image, and then of course, the light text, and then the button inside the text box itself too. And I'll show you how to do this also with Elementor in a little bit later in the video. But let's go back to our home page edit screen. Alrighty, so before we get rolling and make some more sections for our homepage, let's talk about a few things here. First of all, we've already talked about the templates library. You can use the pre-designed templates, and we're going to do that in a few minutes. Reverse engineer, show you how easy it is to use pre-designed templates and reverse engineer them to for your own use. And you can also save your pages as templates, but you can also save individual sections as templates too. Click on the light gray section tab, and this is our main section at the very top here. So that's the whole section with all these other sections and columns within it. And you can duplicate it, but you can also click this icon right here and save it as a template. So I'll just call it home top section. I've already done this once, so I'll just click save. And there it is, saved to our My Templates library, and it shows what it is, not a page, but it's a section right here, right? And you can preview it, delete it, export it by clicking right here, save it somewhere on your computer, and then you can import it into another site that's using Elementor and use it if you'd like. Click cancel. And of course, you can also insert this into another page on this website just by clicking this insert button like that. Now let's talk about the responsive mode. And there's a lot of things you can do using the responsive mode in Elementor. A very cool feature. Remember right here, if we click the icon right here, we have our desktop preview, which is the default preview. Click here for the tablet preview, like this, which doesn't look too bad actually. This is kind of a simulation of a tablet. If I click on mobile, that's not quite what we want. And of course, the only real true way you're going to get an accurate way of how your site looks like on a tablet or a mobile phone is to actually view it on a tablet or a mobile phone. But this gives you kind of an approximation. Another thing I like to do is actually just kind of shrink down the browser. So sometimes it has a little bit different look to it. But you notice right here, the first thing I notice when we have our mobile phone previews, there's a lot of space up here at the top, which we don't need. And we're going to get rid of that real easily. So click on tablet. There's actually a lot of space right here too that we don't need, but it doesn't look too bad because the whole image is showing. So on a tablet, it's probably not that big a deal. On the mobile phone though, if I click mobile, then I click on this spacer. Remember that we have our spacer. See the light blue line surrounding the spacer element. Click right here. Here, right up here at the top now, you notice right here where it says space. And wherever you see these three buttons, which is desktop, tablet, and mobile, you can edit them individually for each type of viewing screen or monitor. So you can edit this spacer element individually for tablets and individually for mobile phones. So let's decrease this top spacer element for mobile phones first of all, like this. Yeah, there we go. That looks pretty good as it is right now. But there's some other things we're going to do too. But that looks pretty good right as it is right now. Let's go to this tablet view. And actually, there's quite a bit of white space right here too that we probably don't need. But if you scroll down here, you're on the tablet, this is probably pretty good because you can see everything. You can see all the buttons and that sort of thing. So it's probably not too bad on a tablet. So we'll probably just leave that alone. So we'll click Save. Remember the mobile phone view. We have our separate spacer. So right for now, we'll click Save. So now we have a different view for our mobile phones as far as the white space on the top. But there's something else we can do also as far as people viewing our site on a tablet or a mobile phone. And what we can actually do, click here, and we'll just go back to our main. I'll just I'll get into the click responsive, go to the desktop view again. And what we're actually going to do, we're going to hover over the section right here. There we go. There's our section, our main section, because it's up on the top. So this is our main section. We're actually just going to duplicate this section once. So now we're going to actually show two sections. And what we're going to do, we're going to hover over this second section, the very top of it. So we're editing this bottom section here. Click on that. Now if I click on the Advanced tab, and I'll close this part out, you notice this responsiveness right here. So what we can do is, what you can do, reverse the columns on your certain, you can reverse your columns aspect on, say, on a mobile phone or something like that. When on a mobile, the column order is reversed, etc., etc. But what you can also do is hide on your desktop, or hide on a tablet, hide on a mobile. So what we'll do first, actually, we'll actually hide this on a desktop. First of all, click Save. And before we forget about it, let's go up to our top section here, our main section. And we're going to hover over here and click on this main section up here. So we're editing our top section here. We'll go to the Advanced tab and close this and click on Responsive. And we're going to hide this top section on tablets and mobile phones like this. There we go. Actually, we won't hide it on a tablet. We'll just hide it on a mobile phone. We'll click Save. Now we'll go back down to our section we just made, our duplicated section. Click on that. So we're editing this section. Go to the Advanced tab. Go to the Responsive section. And we're actually going to hide this on a tablet too. We'll just edit this mainly just for mobile phone viewing. So we'll go ahead and click Save one more time. First thing we'll do, actually we're going to click this bottom responsive icon right here, and we'll click on the mobile preview so we can have kind of a better aspect what it looks like. First we'll do this, we'll click on this spacer bar, and we'll just click once in there, and we'll just give it a little bit of padding like this. There we go, like that. That looks pretty good. And that doesn't look too bad itself as it is right there. But what we could also do if we wanted to, I can go ahead and click inside this heading element, and then we can click on Style, and look at, you see that right here, the light blue, it's highlighting the mobile phone aspect. So we're editing it just for the mobile phone view, which is what this section is. Remember, we're editing that duplicated section right now. It's not complicated, just try not to get you confused. We're editing that section that we duplicated, so it's actually going to show up below, but it's not going to actually show on our website unless we're viewing it on a mobile phone. So we're editing the typography of the heading right here. We're actually going to make this heading a little bit less, not so big on mobile phones. Maybe about like that looks good, or even a little less. Okay, just like that. I'll go ahead and click Save. And obviously you can get a lot more into all this stuff, designing total new sections without the same backgrounds and everything. You can make a total different section for your mobile phone viewing, but this is for demonstration purposes. So let's go back. Did I click Save? Yes, I did. So let's go back to our page, reload the tab. Now you notice, first of all, if I scroll down, you're not seeing two sections here like you would if I go back to our desktop preview. So you see two sections here, but they're not actually showing. Remember, we're hiding this section on mobile phone use, and we're hiding this section on tablets and desktop view. So this is only going to show, the second section is only going to show when you're viewing it on a mobile phone. So if we go over here and we shrink our screen, there we go. Here's that second section. You see the smaller headline here showing, and we could actually do a little bit more if we wanted to here, but we could maybe perhaps make this text a little smaller. So let's go back over here Go back over to our Elementor section, and let's see, we're editing our second section here. Yes, we are. So let's hover over here, click on section. Now we're in this bottom section only for mobile phone viewers. And we'll go over here and put it in mobile preview like this. There we go. So here's that second section right here. Click on this headline right here. Click on style. So right now we're only editing the mobile view. Whatever changes we make are only going to be affecting the mobile view of this secondary headline right here, which is surrounded in with the light blue lines. So same with the tablet view. We could change that just for the tablet view, but we're going to edit the mobile view. Typography, we're going to change the size to make it a little smaller, not take up quite so much space. Just like that. Click Save. Go back to our site. Reload the tab. Shrink it down. And there you go. This secondary headline is smaller now. Now, of course, there's a lot more stuff you can do. You can, like I said, you can make an entirely different section if you wanted to, with different images and, you know, without the buttons if you didn't want to. And you could increase or decrease the padding and all sorts of stuff, but that was just for demonstration purposes. Okay, so very cool aspect, because a lot of times your site's going to look a lot different on a mobile phone than it is on a regular desktop, so it's a very cool option to be able to change the way it looks on certain devices. So remember, it's going to show up on the Elementor edit screen. You're going to see both of these sections, but depending on what you did with them, as far as the visibility and the responsive under advanced, let's see, I'll just click the section right here. Okay, this is this top section right here under advanced, and I'm just going over it one more time. Responsive, see, we're hiding this top section on mobile phones, and vice versa down this second section right here that we duplicated and adjusted the headline sizes, and the spacer element is only going to be shown, if we go here, is only going to be shown on mobile phone screens, because we're hiding it on tablets and desktops. I know I went over this a couple times. I just wanted it kind of to sink in. All right, enough of that. Now we're going to add another section on our main screen. And like I said, you're going to see, it might get a little confusing until you get the hang of it, but you're going to see these duplicate sections, but they're not going to show like I just showed you on our actual website. It's only going to show depending on what size of screen you're doing it on. So we're going to add a new section down below this section, our second section right here. We'll just click on Add New Section. Actually, just let's go over it very simply one more time. I don't want to confuse anybody as far as the responsive part of this Elementor is. It's really not very complicated at all, but I know it's a little bit complicated when you're just, it might confuse you if you're just watching this video and not following along. So first of all, the best way to get the hang of it, of course, is just to get a sample website going, just a web page or something, and play around with a lot of this stuff yourself. All right, let's just say click on this first button right here. So it says edit button over here. And let's take a look at the responsive options you have. Wherever you see this, right now we're in style, and this is typography turned on. You see the size, you see this one icon right here. That's the default. All the values are going to default, whether you're in tablet or mobile phone, viewing on a mobile phone. It's all going to be under this default value right here, which is the desktop. If I click on this, and say I clicked on the middle icon, which is the tablet view, you're going to see the tablet view, and the tablet icon is going to be highlighted in light blue. That means that if you change the size of the button text right here, the typography, and then saved it, it would be saved just for your tablet view. And the same with mobile phone. If you clicked on the mobile phone under whatever option you're editing, the size, the text size of the button, and right here we have the first button we're editing. So if I started doing this, see, I can change the button size a little bit if I wanted to, like this, the text within the button. The same thing for all these other options right here. Line height, let's see, advanced, margin and padding of the button itself. Remember, set right at the top it says edit button, but we can edit the margin and padding specifically just for a tablet or just for a mobile phone, just like that. If you do see the one icon under a value, that means that if you click on it, you can open up the tablet and mobile phone. That means that you'll be able to edit those values separately for whatever you want. By default, it's going to be the desktop, and that's going to be the value that'll be for the mobile phone and tablet. But if you wanted to change it just for the tablet view, click on the middle icon, and it'll be highlighted in light blue. That means that if we change the margin and padding, and remember we're editing the button right now, if I change the margin of that first button like this, we're just doing it just for people that are viewing it on for the tablet view. So it wouldn't apply to the mobile phone view. See, if I click the mobile phone, it's back to the way it was before. Well, it should be anyway. I'll go back here. So wherever you see this icon, the middle, the one icon right here, you can click on it and edit that value specifically just for a tablet or just for a mobile phone by clicking on the appropriate icon, and it'll, of course, the preview size will shrink too. So a cool feature and very, very handy because you can edit a lot of different elements. Wherever you see this little icon showing up, then you can click on it and edit the other aspects, the tablet and mobile phone view too, and save it so they can all be different if you wanted to too. If you, for some reason, there's something you wanted to align one way in one view and one way in another view, you could have it left, center, and right if you wanted to. Anyway, that clears up that. We're going to go back to our desktop view right here. Then we're going to scroll down below the second section here. We're going to click Add New Section. First of all, we're just going to use the single column structure again. Click on that. So here's our section now that we have below this, below our first section. Remember, although we have two sections showing, they only show when you're viewing it on certain screen sizes. So we only have one top section. Here's our second section right here. First thing I'm going to do is click the section, light gray section tab. I'm going to change it to full width as far as content width, like this. I'm just going to leave everything else the way it is. Then I'm going to click Style. For background type, I'm going to click Classic. And then for the color of the background, I am going to choose white. There we go, like this. And I'm going to leave these two alone because I want it full opacity. Now I'm going to click the dots, open up our elements. I'm going to drag this heading over here, drop it in like this. All right, I'll go ahead and change the title here, paste some other text in. All right, here like this. And we'll align it in the center like this. And I think I'm going to click on Style and change the text color. I'm just going to make it kind of a darker gray. Maybe I'll just choose that right there, like that. Open up the title again, turn on the typography. I don't like it quite so bold, so I'm going to make it less bold, maybe like that. I'm actually going to change the color, make it a little bit darker, so I think I'll just maybe like that. There we go, like that. Close that color out again. Let's see, open up that title again, typography. And the size is actually pretty good, but I'll just change it a little bit maybe. Oh, like that. Everything else looks pretty good. Advanced, we're going to change the padding in a little bit, but first what we are going to do, click on the dots, add a couple columns like this. There we go. Oops, didn't insert. There we go. The light blue line shows up. There we go. There are two columns here. I'm actually just going to click on this column tab right here. You see the plus sign? I'm just going to add a column like this right here. So now we have three equal columns, and I'm actually going to drag them in. I'm just using the middle column kind of as a spacer bar, so have a little bit extra space in between the columns. We'll make it about the same. Let's see here. 43.9, 44.3. That looks about right, like that. All right, we're just going to keep rolling here. Click the dots again. First column, we're going to drag the video element over here, drag it in, drop it in there if we can. If it's going to let us, doesn't look like it's going to let me, so I'm just going to let it go and do what we did before. Over in the top on the right hand, top right, where the first icon, the first little blue box, get the 4 directional arrows, hold your mouse down, and there we go. Drop it in there like that. And it's going to have a placeholder video in there. We're going to change that, of course. Actually going to change that by, if you click right inside the video, I think the video will just start playing. But yeah, the video will just start playing. So you have to click on this where you get the 4 directional arrows, the edit, it'll show up as edit. That's what you want to click. Click to edit your video. And I'm going to change the video link in here to a different video, this one right here. And you have a choice between YouTube and Vimeo videos. You just paste in the URL of whatever video you want to play. Aspect ratio, YouTube is always basically 16:9. See if I change it, it's going to be like that. 16:9. You have some different video options, autoplay, suggested videos, player title and actions. I think I'll remove the title of that white text right there. I'll remove that like this. And that looks pretty good. I'll just click save. And if I'm going too fast, excuse me. Just to clarify, I did add a column here. You saw what I did. And then I'm just using this column as to add extra space in between these two columns where we're going to have our content. If you just use the padding, margin and padding, it doesn't work as well as doing this. We're just using this as a blank spacer column right here between the two columns. All right, now for the right-hand column, I'm just going to click on the dots and drag a heading over here like this. There we go. And I have some text I'm going to insert in there, so I'm going to highlight this text in here over here for the title of our heading, paste in some new text, and I'm actually going to change the size with the typography. I'll just leave that as an H2 tag. It doesn't really make too much difference. I'll click, no, I'm going to leave it left aligned, so I'm actually going to align it to the left. I think that's default. We'll click on style, and for text color, I'm going to change the text color. I have a color that I've already found that I'm going to use. Let's see right there. It's kind of a blue color. Open up the title again, turn on the typography, and I'm going to change the font size just about like that. And I'm going to change the font weight. I think change it to about 400, well, maybe about 500. Try 500, see what that looks like. That looks pretty good right there. Now I'm going to click on the dots again, and I'm going to drag a text editor over here and drop it into this column right below the heading. It takes a little doing sometimes. There we go. Got it to show up. There we go. Now I'm going to get some other text to paste in there. Highlight this lorem ipsum text right here. Paste in my new text like this. And let's see. I'm not sure if I like the way that looks right now. I think it's got a little bit too much spacing in there. And let's see. I'm going to actually change the size. So I'm going to highlight all this. Actually, I'm just going to go up here to style and click on typography, and we can change the font size just within here inside the entire text editor. So instead of using the text editor to change the size, highlighting the text and using this font size right here, we can actually click on style, turn on typography, and then we'll see how that works there like this. Font family, font weight, let's see if it make it a little less bold like this. I'll change the letter spacing a little bit. Oh, the letter spacing is good. We'll actually change the line height a little bit. Let's see here. Like that. And this is all, of course, you can just fool around with this kind of stuff. I'll click save. So far, so good. We'll take a look on our page and see what it looks like. Now we'll just put some padding in between these headings and everything so it looks a little better. So I'll go back here, click on our heading that we have here, click on advanced, and I'm going to unlink the padding, unlink that little chain link. One over on the far left is the top. If you click your mouse inside, it'll show you what you're editing. The top padding, so I'll do this, like add some padding, maybe about like that. There we go. And I'll add some on the bottom. There's the bottom padding for the heading. And we're putting padding around the heading right now. That looks about right. There we go. And I'll click save. And that's pretty good so far. One other thing that we can do actually is we can put a little padding in between this heading and this text if we wanted to. It doesn't look too bad. I could probably actually click on this little heading right inside here and then put some padding. I'll unlink the padding, so we're just changing just the one, not all of them. Add a little bit on the bottom here, bring the text down a little bit like that. There we go. Put 20, click Save. Alrighty, and before we add another section, I'm actually going to click on this light gray section tab. And remember, this top section right here is talking about this entire section, which contains this headline in the video and this column right here. Hover over here and click on this section. This section contains just these three columns right here. So I'm going to be editing this section right here by clicking on it. Now over on the left, I'm going to click on Advanced, and I'm going to unlink the, actually I'll just use margin and show you what I mean. I'll unlink the margin, and I'm going to add some margin on the bottom here. So I'm going to add, we'll just start with 30 like this, maybe 35, and I'll click Save. All right, well, we'll do some more tweaking of the margin and the padding and that sort of thing for our individual sections. But right now, we are going to add another section to our home page, a few more sections actually, and get finished with our home page. And I've actually already created another page which we are going to model from. The next section we are going to do is this one right here with the blue background and then 3 columns with the images and the text and the heading right here. So we'll go back to our Edit with Elementor screen, add New Section, click on Add New Section, and we'll select the single column structure for our main section, which is right here. And we'll click on the light gray section tab. Under Layout, we're going to select Full Width, and then we're just going to click Save. And I admit I do click on Save quite a bit, but that being as it is, let's click on Style. We're editing our section, our main section here that we just created. Then under background type, click on Classic. And for the color, click on Color. And I've actually selected a blue, which I'm going to use right here. There we go. And I'm going to click on Save again. And I'm going to click on the dots and drag over a heading, drop it in here. The light blue line will show up. There we go. There's our heading. I'm going to change that title to some different text right here. And we'll change the size using typography, so we won't worry about that right now. I'll just choose H3 for the HTML tag, the heading tag. Line it in the center like this, and we'll click on Style. For text color, we'll select white, and then we'll open up title again, turn on the typography, and then we'll make our size about 44 like that. For the font weight, how bold it is, I'm just going to select 300 because I don't want it too bold. The rest of this stuff I'll leave alone, so I'm just going to click Save. Now we'll click on the dots again and we'll drag over some columns. For our 3 columns, we'll drop it in there like this. Then I'm going to click on one of these dark gray column tabs, and I'm going to click the plus sign. Now we have 3 columns of equal size right here. That's what we want. And I'm going to, actually we're editing the column right here, so under background type I'm going to click Classic, and I'm going to click Color, select White, and then I'm going to click Save. Now we'll click on the dots and we'll drag over an image and drop it in there in the first column. And yes, I am picking up the pace a little bit. Hopefully that'll be okay, but of course this is a video, so you can always rewind it if I'm going too fast. Hopefully I'm not. Before we actually drop in an image, though, I'll show you what I did for the images on this section right here. So I'm going to go over to Pixlr.com and launch the web app for the Pixlr editor. Looks like I have to update my Adobe Flash. There we go. And I'm going to open up an image from a computer. And I actually found these images that I'm going to use, well, 2 of them anyway. I found them on Pixabay.com, which you can find in my resources, wphowtos.com post that I told you about earlier in the video. First image I'm going to use is this image right here of myself like this. And I'll show you what I did for all these images. I made them all the same size. So I just clicked on image size, and then I just made them all 400 by 300 just to be standard size here. So I just edited them all 400 by 300 and then clicked OK and saved them on my computer where I could find them. Then we'll go back here. Now I'm going to click on image And I've actually already uploaded these to my computer, so I don't have to upload them. You might have to, though, of course. Here's our first image. You see right here it says 400 by 300 for size. Just going to insert media. And you can do a little, you can name this if your title and your alt text if you really want to get into the SEO portion of it. I'm not going to do that right now, though. I'm going to click Insert Media. All right, there's our first image. Now I'm going to click on the dots. Actually, I'll click on the image again. Let's see here. Click this, maybe that'll edit. There we go, edit. And I'm just going, instead of large, I'm going to select full size. And the full size of this image is 400 by 300. All right, so we got that. Now I'm going to click on the dots, and I'm going to drag over a heading and try to drop it in here. Let's see if I can drop it in here. It's not going to let me, so I'm going to have to drag it over. Once I drop it in now, it'll let me drop it in my column here. There it goes, just like that. And we'll change the title. And I'm just going to actually just go through this really quickly. Hopefully that you're catching on. I'm going to align it in the center for our title like that. That looks pretty good. We'll add a little margin and padding here a little bit once we finish our column. Now I'm going to click on the dots and drag over a text editor and try to drop it in there if it'll let me. It's not going to let me, so I'm going to have to let it go. Then I'm going to find the directional lines here so I can drag it. Now it'll probably let me drop it into this column, hopefully. There we go. Now I'm going to actually have to drag this heading up above like this. You have to do a little bit of monkeying around here like I'm just showing you to get everything to just the way you want it, but it's not any big deal. All right, so I'm going to click inside the text editor. All right, let's click Save just for safety's sake. All right, that's our first column, such as it is. Doesn't look quite the same as this. We're going to have to do a little bit of adjusting here, so we're going to go back to our screen, and we're going to click on the column tab right here, the dark gray column tab. So it'll say Edit Column over here, and then we're going to click on Advanced. First thing we're going to do, what I've noticed is even though it said there, it doesn't show any margin or padding, it actually has some padding and margin in there, just kind of by default. So if I click 1 here on padding, then I take it off again, 0. Now you see there isn't any padding here. Now I'm going to click inside the text editor, then I'm going to click on Advanced, and then I'm going to actually add some padding all the way around this text editor block here. I think I'll make it about 25, looks about right, so that's about right. And actually I might add a little padding. Well, that looks pretty good the way it is, so we'll just click Save. Now to speed things up a little bit, we're going to actually take advantage of this duplicate feature that Elementor has. Very cool feature. What I'm going to do is duplicate this first column I edited right here. So click Duplicate. Now we have 2 of me staring at you. And then I'm going to try to, actually I'm just going to click on this column, empty column over here, and get rid of it. So now we'll just have 3 columns again. And of course, you notice they're all close together. We'll take a look at that in just a minute. First, we're going to click inside this image right here for this column and click on Choose Image, and we'll change the image. Here it is. I've already got it uploaded, and it is 400 by 300, just like my other images, like I told you. Click Insert Media. Click on the heading. We'll change that text. There we go, like that. I'll just leave the lorem ipsum text right here, the dummy text right here the way it is. That looks pretty good. Now we'll duplicate our column one more time. We can just duplicate this one if we want. Okay, we'll click on the duplicate icon right there. We'll get rid of this last blank column right here. Now we have our 3 columns. Click inside the image. We'll replace our image with a different one, of course. Here it is right here. I think this is the 400 by 300 image. Click Insert Media. Click inside the heading. Go ahead and change that heading like this. And of course, you would have to change the text below the heading too, but I'm not bothering with that right now. Then I'm going to click Save. All right, now let's add some margin and padding and all that sort of stuff to get our section looking the way we want it. First thing we'll do is click up here in the heading element. We'll click on Advanced. We can try a different margin and padding just to kind of look at the difference between the two. So I'll unlink our margin. If I add some margin to the top, that looks good the way it is. I'll add some to the bottom like this. And that isn't the way it is. Actually, I'm going minus margin. Okay, there we go, like this. That's about right there. Okay, now these columns don't have any space in between them, so we'll add some margin, which is on the outside of the column itself, remember. So I'll click on the column, and I'll show you the difference between margin and padding real quick. I'm going to unlink. Well, the padding's already unlinked. I'll try to add some padding on the right, and you notice it's doing it inside the column. Remember, padding is within the element, margin is outside the element. So I'm going to take that off again like this, and I'm going to use the margin. So I'm going to unlink it. I'm going to put some margin between these two columns on the right hand side, which is right here, like this. I'll do the same for this. So I'll click on the dark gray column tab, click on advanced. Let's see, there we go. Make sure it's the right column. You notice the dotted lines are surrounding it right now. That's showing you which element you're editing. And we'll click on advanced. We'll unlink our margin. Add some on the right on this one too, but 25 looks about right. Okay, and then we're going to have to do this to this one too, just so we can get the images and everything to line up right. So even though there isn't anything over here on the right hand side, click on the dark gray column tab. Got the dotted line surrounding it, so we know what we're editing. Click on advanced, unlink the margin, make sure we're using the right margin, and there we go. Now we just have to add some padding down below this section here with our three columns. So we'll click on the section tab, click on advanced, unlink actually we'll do the margin. We'll unlink the margin, and we'll use the bottom margin, which is right here, and there we go. Let's see what that looks like here. Maybe a little bit more, somewhere around there. That looks pretty good, and we'll click save. And a couple more little tweaks I think I'll make. I think I'll click inside this heading right here, and we're editing this heading, and under style text color, I think I'm going to use the same blue that's outside in this column here, so I'm going to find that blue in my clipple paste function. There we go, there it is right there. And I think I will actually turn on the typography and make this text a little bit less bold, and maybe a little bit, maybe 500, like that. And maybe I'll change the size about like that. Okay, I'll do the same to these two headings right here too. All right, I took care of that. Now let's go back and look at our page and see what next section we have. Here we go right here, just a real simple section we're going to add. So what I think I'm going to do for this one is actually just copy everything from this one and paste it in there, so it'll be a little easier for me. So I'm just going to do this, copy, go back to our page, add new section, single column structure like this, click on the section tab, change it to full width, drag over a heading element like this, click on style, font color, I think I'll just use the dark gray like that, open up the typography, change the size, turn the font weight down, maybe about like this, maybe even less like that. Okay, then we're going to drag 4 columns over here. We want 4 columns over here, so we'll just open up the elements again and drag the columns element over here and drop it in there right below the heading. And then I'm going to click on the dark gray column element and click on the plus sign twice. Now we have 4 equal columns, which is what we want. Click on the dots, open up the elements, drag over a text editor like this, and then we'll just do that 3 more times, excuse me, like this. We'll click inside here. We'll actually go back over here. I'm going to click right inside here, and I'm just going to actually just copy all this stuff like this. Go back here, highlight all this default text, paste in our new text like this, and then for our style, let's see what we have for style for this one. Click on style. We changed the text, chose the text color right here. So instead of using the text editor function where you can change the colors and stuff, we're just using the style function. Makes it a little easier. So I'm going to paste in that text color, and then I'm just going to click here, text editor, typography, turn that on, and increase the size to about, that looks about right. And then I'm going to go down here for line height, and I'm going to change the line height to about 1.8 like that. There we go. And what I'm actually going to do, actually I should have thought of this when I first did this, is actually just, well, no, I'll just do it the different way here. So I could just copy this, duplicate this, and then change the text inside here, which would probably speed it up a little bit. In fact, why don't I just do that? Okay, so I'm just going to click on the column, click on duplicate right here, and then over here I'm just going to click on this column. This is kind of doing it kind of backwards here, but I'm just going to remove this column, delete. Okay, so here we have here, and I'll just change our text that we have here. Come over here and find this text that we have. Copy that, change that in here. There we go, like that. Click Save. Click on the dark gray column, duplicate, get rid of this one by clicking on the dark gray column tab and clicking the X, delete, yes, and then we'll click inside here, go back here, here's our third column. I'll try to copy all this in here, there we go. Actually, you can just double click inside there instead of holding it with your left mouse. There we go, that makes it easy. And we'll click the dark gray column one more time and duplicate. And we'll click this dark gray column tab and get rid of this one with the X. Delete, yes. Click inside here, the text editor. Go back over here. Our last one here, double click inside here. Copy, go back and paste in our last. Now I'll go over on the left. There we go. Click on the left, double click on the left. Paste in the new text. Click Save. And there we go. There's our new section. I'll just click on the headline right here, and we're just going to click on Advanced, and I'm going to put, so I could put margin. I'll unlink the margin for the top. There we go. Add some margin on here, and then add some bottom margin like this. Actually, yeah, there we go. It's pushing down the columns there. There we go. We'll add a little bit more to this. That looks about right. And then I'm going to actually click on this section tab right here, which is the section which contains these 4 columns, and we're going to click on Advanced for that. And we can use either margin or padding. For this one we'll use padding, and for the bottom margin, which is down below here, we'll just add some margin padding right here. You see it's pushing this right here down a little bit, so we'll add some like this and click Save. Alright, so we've got our website looking pretty good. Let's go back over to our home page and see what else we're going to add. Just add a little testimonial right here, which is just a section with the testimonial element. I'll click right actually inside here so I can just copy this text. First off, go back over here, click Add New Section, single column structure, click the section, light gray section tab, choose our content width for full width. There it is right here. Click on the dots, find the testimonial element, which I believe is in the general element. There we go, right there. Go over here and make sure we drop it in our new section like this. Paste in our text, our testimonial text. We can change this guy's name to John Smith if we wanted. We can put in his business type if we wanted. I'm just going to leave it out like this. And you can put in an image, a default image, or the image of an actual person that leaves you a testimonial by clicking on Style, I believe, and then there it is right here, image, like that. And for our content, we have typography. We can change our font color if we want right here, and change the font size. We'll click on typography, and change the font size a little bit like this. Okay. All right, then I'm going to click Advanced. And we'll add a little margin or padding. We'll unlink it. Here it is right at the top. There we go. Well, it's white. It's not really going to matter because we probably have enough margin right there. There we go. That looks pretty good right there. We'll just add some margin on the bottom. That looks good for now. We'll click Save. Alrighty, let's see what else we have. Okay, our last little section here, which is actually 2 headings, and 2 buttons. So we'll go back here. You know what I'm actually going to do is click right here. I'm going to actually hover over this section, click on section, and I'm going to save this section as bottom 2 buttons. There we go, like this. Bottom 2 buttons. There it is right there. Now we can go back here. Instead of adding new section, we can just add a template. Click on My Templates right here where it says bottom 2 buttons. Click Insert, and look at how easy that was. Play around with the margin and padding if you'd like, of course. And I'm going to make sure to click Save. Alright, so how I made this section, of course, here's a heading right here. If I click inside it, here's a heading. And I had another heading right here. And then right here, of course, I had the 2 column, drug over the 2 column elements, which by default has 2 columns in it. And then I drug over the button and dropped it in both of these. And then, of course, changed the text, put an icon on here, changed the color and the hover color to what I wanted. And the hover color, I didn't actually change the hover color in this one. And of course, I would want to link them to somewhere on my site. So let's go check out and see what our page looks like now. So let's reload the tab. All right, here is our home page, such as it is, with all our sections. And of course, we can make little tweaks to it. Of course, I would want to put some padding here below this video here and things like that. And we have footer widgets showing right now. We could remove these if we want, which is what I would probably do. Or we could add stuff to our footer widgets. If you remember, we talked about widgets. If you go to Appearance and then Widgets, there's all kinds of stuff you could add for widgets. You know, you see all these different widgets you can use. You have a Facebook like box you could use. You could just use a visual editor widget right here and put in your name, address, and phone number if you have a business, or you could put some about me information with links, you know, using the visual editor. Whatever you want in the widgets, but we're just going to remove them. So what we're going to do is go to our page. We're going to go to the edit page screen for our home page. Over on the right hand side where it says footer widgets, we're just going to choose 0 widgets and click update. So I reloaded the tab and there we go. There's no widget showing now on our home page. All right, so now to wrap up our video, we're going to first we're going to use our home page as a template, and then we're going to make a different style landing page. We're going to, of course, change our image out and then make this text box here. We're going to remove the dark overlay of our image and make this dark overlay text image with the button right here, kind of a popular style of landing page. And then we're going to check out Elementor Pro and take a look at Generate Press Premium version also. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to go back to our home page that we just finished, and we're going to save it as a template. So let's click on this icon on the right. It'll say templates when you hover over it. Click it and then click on Save Template. And then we'll make this, let's see here, homepage 3 buttons. Sounds like a good name for our template. Click Save. And there it is right there. Now we can have it available to use as a template, which we are going to do. Now we're going to go to our dashboard and under Pages, click on Add New. And I'm calling our new page Landing 1. And over on the right-hand side where it says Template, we are going to choose Elementor Canvas. What that's going to do is actually just leave a blank page for us to use Elementor as a canvas, as it says. So there won't be any header, navigation menu, or footer, anything like that. Sidebar layout, we're going to choose Content No Sidebars. 0 footer widgets, so check 0. Page Builder Container, we'll check full width. And we'll go ahead and disable the content title by putting a check in that box right there. Go back up here and click Publish. Then, of course, we'll click the blue Edit with Elementor button right there. And you notice right here we don't have anything. We have a blank canvas to work with. That is what we want. Instead of adding new section, we're going to click on Add Template. Then we're going to click on My Templates, find that homepage 3 button template. It's a page template, like it says right there. We'll click Insert, and there we go. Now, I would suggest checking out what this new landing page looks like on mobile and that sort of thing. But for now, we're going to remove our mobile-only section right here, the second section we made. So click on the Section tab, click that red X to remove it, delete. Just like that. And then we're going to go up to the top of the page, find the light gray section tab again, click on it. It'll say edit section over here. And we're going to click on advanced first of all, click on responsive, and we're going to uncheck this hide on mobile button right now. Just for now, we'll uncheck it. And then if you make a mobile only version section of your top section, then of course you can play around with the responsive versions here, hiding on your tablets and mobiles and that sort of thing. I'll click save. Now we're still editing our top section here. Now let's click on style. And we'll close the background and we'll click on background overlay. And I'm just going to click once in this classic background type. It's just going to remove the background type just like that. There we go. Now I'm going to hover over this first heading here and go to the far right and click on the red X, remove it. Do the same thing for this right here. There we go. Remove it, delete. And then we'll click on this gray section for the section with the 3 buttons here, and we'll click the red X to remove that too. There we go. Now we just have our 2 spacer bars in here. So to get our text box in there, the first thing we're going to do is click on the dots and drag the columns element over there and drop it in the middle there like this. And let's see, we have 2 columns, so what we're going to do is click on the dark gray column and click the plus sign. Now we have 3 columns. That'll be about right. We'll just leave it as is. And actually we're going to click on the section tab again, and then we're going to click on style, and we're going to click on this image, and that'll go to our media library. And I've actually already uploaded an image to use. You might have to upload it. You might have to drag an image over here and drop it. I'm just going to click on this image, and I'm not really going to bother with any SEO with the title and the alt text and anything. I'm just going to click insert media. There we go, like that. So far so good. I think I'm going to click save to make sure I saved everything. Alright, we're just going to use this far left column for our text and stuff and our button. So I'm going to click on the dark gray column tab right there. Then it'll say edit column over here, and we're under the style. Let's click on the classic for background type, because right now you notice we don't see anything for background overlay or anything, but when we click on classic, then if we scroll down here, so now if we close up the background and border, now we have background overlay because we have some sort of background. We chose a background. Now let's click on the background overlay, click on classic, click on the color box, and we'll just use the black overlay like this, and we'll just leave everything default as it is. And then we are going to drag, then we'll click on the dots and drag over a text editor. You could also drag over a heading and do it that way, but we're just going to use the text editor. And it looks like we're going to have to drop it in there and then look for the first blue box there and hold down your left mouse and drag it over. Now you can drop it in the first column there. Now we see our background overlay. And of course we can adjust this background overlay to suit our fancy, but right now we'll just click inside the text editor. Let's click on style first of all, and we'll click on text color. We're going to make our text white, so we'll choose white. And then we'll turn on the type. Well, actually, we're not going to turn on the typography because we're going to use the text editor for that. Go back to the content tab. I'm just going to remove all this content. Then, of course, I've got some content which I'm just going to paste in there, just like this. And the formatting is pretty good right there, just the way it is. Of course, to get that, of course, I had to play around with it a little bit. Like I had to do things like, let's see, over here in the text editor, I had to put sometimes the text wasn't lining up, so I had to actually put my mouse right here, click the backspace, and then click space, just to get the lines, the text, because there was only like one word on one line and the other words went down. So you have to play around with it a little bit to get the formatting to look the way you want it. And then, of course, I also highlighted New York. Actually, I highlighted Hey New York and changed the font size, and then I highlighted just New York there and made that part bold by clicking on bold right here in the text editor. Then I changed the text size for this second portion of our section here, right here. I made this 24 font, and then the text down below here I made 18 font, and down at this last line here I highlighted this last line only $37 if you act now, and I made that bold. And I'm just going to click save, Let's take a look at what the page looks like so far. So I'm going to click on the X over here on the left, down at the bottom left, and click View Page. It'll open up in a new tab. And not too bad so far, but we need to add our button first of all, and then we need to get rid of some of the space up on top here, and we can do that easily. Let's go back here to our Edit with Elementor screen, and we'll click on the dots. We'll find the button, and we'll drag that over and drop it in that first column if it'll let us. It's not going to let us for some reason. It'll let us do it up on top, and then we'll drag it down below the text like that. There we go. Now over here on the left, we'll just choose maybe large for the button size, and maybe medium. We can always adjust this. And then we're going to choose justified for the button, and we're not going to choose an icon. And of course, we would want to link that to somewhere a little bit later. We'll change the button text like this, and like I said, we could link that to wherever we wanted to send them, of course, to in our funnel. But this is just the first part of our funnel, our landing page. We'll click on Style. This is our normal section of our button, and I'm going to actually use a blue for that. So I'll paste in a blue color right here. There we go. Oops, I don't want to do that. I'm changing the text color instead of the button color. We'll close that out. Let's see here. Close background color. That's what we want to click on, and we'll paste that color in there. There we go. There's the background of our button. And for border type, we're not going to have a border. Border radius, we're going to leave it linked, and we're going to click a couple times in there. That's just going to round our corners. Text padding, we'll leave it linked, and we'll make that about like this. We'll adjust it the way we want it. And we can also turn on the typography and change the text size inside the button to make it the way we want it. About like that. Looks pretty good. Okay, anything else we need to do? Let's scroll down the page. We'll put a different color in for our hover color when people hover over it. Now we'll click on the background color. We'll choose that blue again, and then actually we're going to make it a little bit bluer. So let's see, we'll get a little darker. We'll hold this. There we go, like that. We'll make it a little darker blue. Click Save. Now let's go refresh our tab over here. And there's a button. If I hover over it, there we go. And of course, we want to link to somewhere. We want to send them in our sales funnel, but I'm not going to put any link in there. We'll go back here. There's a couple more things we want to do. Too much white space on top. Remember, we have that spacer element. So I clicked inside there. See the light blue line surrounding it. And we're just going to drag it over and make the spacer quite a bit less so everything goes up to the top of the page. Let's see how this looked. I'll click Save. That looks a little better. In fact, I probably want to remove a little bit more of the spacer, so I'll just drag it over a little bit more, maybe about like that. We'll click Save again, and that's pretty good the way it is right there. And actually, just looking at this, we can do a couple things maybe to move this column box over a little bit. So let's go back here to our Edit with Elementor page. First of all, content width, we could change this to full width if we wanted to. See what that does. Click Save. All right, so making it full width, we don't have any padding over here on the left now for our column. So let's go back over here. We'll hover over this box, and we'll click on the dark gray column tab, and we'll click on Advanced. And then I think what we're going to do is, first of all, because inside this text box itself, we're editing the column, remember. Inside the text box itself, the text doesn't have much padding inside the text box. So remember, that is padding. So I'm going to leave the padding linked. I'm going to add some padding like this. About like that will be pretty good, because now it'll give some padding on either side and on the top. And then for the margin, we want our left margin like this, because over here on the side, that's outside of the column. Remember, margin is always outside the element. Oops, I forgot to unlink the margin, so that I'm going to go back to 0 again. Oh, I'm going to link it back and just paste in a 0 there. There we go. Now I'm going to unlink it and just click on the left, then add some margin just on the left-hand side like this. There we go, just about like that. Maybe add just a little bit more. And I think I'm going to drag this back a little bit to get it out of his face like that. About like this. Okay, now I'm going to click Save, and we'll go check out our page. And that looks pretty good the way it is. We can, of course, play around with a little bit more to get this, maybe to get this text looking a little bit better. Say if I go back here, let's see, it only has 3 words on this line right here. Maybe put a space right after the review. So I'll go back over here, click on the text editor, go here to review. Let's see here if I can just hold down the shift button and click enter. And I notice like that, more amazing deal. And then let's see, where do I want to do? I'll put the cursor behind deal, click backspace once, and then click. Now that looks pretty good the way it is right there. Okay, there we got our text formatted decent enough, so I'm just going to click save. There we go. There it looks pretty good. Now, of course, you're going to have to check out what it looks like on a mobile phone. If you're going to be, you might have to, do what we did before, make a mobile only section, and we can change this video if we wanted to something, of course, more appropriate to a dentist. The dentist has a video. We can click in here and change our video. Well, actually, you just have to hover over this light blue box right here, because if we click inside this video, the video is just going to start. So you see this little pencil icon, click on that. Now it says edit video over here. I'll just put in a new video. I think that's the one right there. There we go. There's a dental video. And then, of course, I want to change the headline and change everything else down on our landing page. Change about your dental practice, and change the images, and so on and so forth. But that gives you an idea how you can reverse engineer templates and make a landing page with a text box. All right. And actually what I'm going to do is actually save this as a template too, and I'll have this available for you guys to download too. If you just want to have a quick start on having a text box like this with a landing page image. Of course, you'll have to use your own images, but I'll click save first of all. And then I'll click save template. I'll put landing text box. Okay, and click save. So you guys can go to my wphowtos.com site, and that post that I have a link for you down below the video in the video description. You can go there and get some of these templates to use on your site too if you'd like to. All right, well, this video's gone a lot longer than I originally planned. Well, there's a lot of stuff to cover. So what I think I'm going to do for the last 20-30 minutes of this video is we're going to take a look at another couple page templates using Elementor and GeneratePress, which you, of course, can download on my wphowtos.com site for free, by the way. But we're also going to take a look at what you get with the GeneratePress Premium add-on plugin for the GeneratePress theme, and we'll take a look at Elementor Pro. Here is a different site that I made up using Elementor and GeneratePress, but I'm using the GeneratePress Premium add-on plugin to get this secondary menu up here and this navigation menu like it is right here, as opposed to our navigation menu right here with the free version of GeneratePress, which, by the way, is a great theme, but unless you know some CSS, you're going to be hard-pressed to make your site look like this if you so desire. Here is what you get with the GeneratePress Premium add-on plugin, which I believe costs, I think, $39.95, a one-time fee. And then if you want to keep on getting updates after a year, I think it's $25 a year, but really well worth the price if you're going to be using GeneratePress. You have your backgrounds, blog, colors, copyright, disable elements. In fact, this page right here, here's the WordPress edit page right here. And over on the right-hand side, you see disable elements. You have a whole lot more choices now besides just content title that you can disable on a page-by-page basis if you want to. Now, if we take a look at under Appearance Customize, go to the Customize section. The GeneratePress plugin, the premium plugin, adds quite a bit of stuff that you can do in the Customize section. For instance, under Colors, now we have all kinds of choices. Here's the primary navigation you see right here, as opposed to this right here, of course. And I just chose black and white, basically, or kind of a dark gray. If I wanted the background, the main background of my navigation menu to be different like this, I could just click our mouse and change it like that, and so on and so forth. So super easy to use, highly worth the cost if you're going to be making some sites. Now, as far as this page right here goes, the content on this page, this slider is made using a free WordPress plugin called MetaSlider, which we'll take a look at in a minute. This contact form is using Contact Form 7, a free WordPress plugin also. But the rest of the stuff comes from Elementor, the free version of the plugin. Here's the Elementor edit screen. In fact, what I have already done is save this page as a page template in my templates library. Right here. Click on templates, my templates. Here it is right here, my contact location page free. And here's the pro version. And I've already exported these page templates to my computer so I can have them available to import on another site which is using GeneratePress. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go and take this contact page right here and install this page template, and then we'll configure the meta slider and contact form 7 plugin to use on the new page. Real simple to do. So let's go over to our site that we were working on. Let's see right here. First of all, we're going under Elementor, My Library. Click on Import Template, then click on Browse and go to where you downloaded your page templates. And here's the free version of the page template. I'm just going to double click on that and click Import Now. And there we go. There's our new page template right here. So now let's go ahead and go to Pages and click Add New to add a new page. All right, we'll just call this Contact. We'll just call it Contact Location Free. And then over on the right-hand side, we'll use the default template. And for sidebar layout, we'll choose Content No Sidebars, and we'll just choose 0 footer widgets for now. And for Page Builder Container, we'll choose Full Width, and we'll disable the content title right there. And then we'll click on Publish. Then we'll click on the Edit with Elementor button to open up our Edit with Elementor screen. Here it is right here. Now we're just going to click on Add Template. And we'll find that page template in our My Templates library. Let's see, Contact Location Free. There we go, right there. We'll click Insert. Now if you take a look at it, the Contact Form 7 worked out pretty good right there. But we don't have our meta slider up on the top of the page, and that is because we haven't configured a meta slider on this site yet. So let's go to our dashboard. I'll close this out, and then we'll scroll down to kind of the bottom of the page where it says meta slider. And of course, you have to have the meta slider plugin installed on your site and activated on your site to see this. Then it's going to say create your first slideshow. So click on this little plus sign in that box. I think I'm actually going to change the name to New Slider 1, just so it's not the default name like that. And then I'm going to click Add Slide. Then you can choose your slides from your media library if you want, or you can upload new slides if you want to. Just for the heck of it, I will choose this dentist's picture for a slide. I'll choose this. I'll just hold down my Shift button. And let's know I won't hold down my Shift button. I'll hold down my Control button. There we go. So we have hold down my Control button while I'm doing this. I choose 3 slides. There we go. I'll click Add to Slider. There are 3 slides. Now we can crop it. SEO. Let's see. We can put in an SEO title and image alt text if we wanted to. We can crop this. I'm just going to leave it at center. General. We can put in a caption. Like here's a caption. Caption example, you can put in a URL so when people click on the slide it'll take them somewhere on your site if you wanted to. Over on the width and height, I'm actually going to choose the same width and height I have over on the other slider of that page that we're using for a template. So I'm going to decrease the width to about, I believe it's about 540. Then I'm just going to leave the height the same, like that. The effect fade, theme default. Arrows I'll leave in, and dots I'll leave in. Advanced settings, I think I'll leave autoplay on. Smart crop for image crop is good. Hover, pause, slide delay. We'll just leave it everything at default for now. And then I'm just going to click Save. Actually, what I did is, while I paused the video, I changed the name of the slider to My Slider 1. I don't know if it made any difference or not, because I've had a little trouble with Meta Slider with the default slider. I actually had to make another slider with a different name, and I also put a check in the box under Advanced Settings Center Align, and then of course click Save. If I go back to the Edit with Elementor page, here's our slider, And I also when I came back to the Edit with Elementor page, clicked on the meta slider, I clicked apply to, and I chose the new name, the My Slider one, and then the slider appeared. It took a little while before I could get the slider to appear on the Edit with Elementor page. If we go to our page itself, here's what it looks like on the page. And as I showed you, you can change the speed which the slides are transitioning and that sort of thing under the advanced settings. And of course, take out this caption or add captions. Remove these dots if you want to. Remove these arrows if you want to. What I think I'm going to do, though, go back to the Edit with Elementor page, and we're editing the meta slider widget. So I'm going to click under Advanced, and I'm going to leave the padding linked. I'm just going to put a little bit of padding, maybe 10 around here. I'm going to unlink the margin. I'm going to put a little margin up on top of the slider. That's outside of the meta slider element. I'm just putting it on the top, the margin, just so I can get it lined up with the text down here over on the other side. That looks about right, and then I'm going to click Save. Now, as far as the rest of the stuff on this page right here, we're just using the Elementor free plugin. This is a heading. This is a text editor, which I formatted the text to get it to look like this. It takes a little playing around. This is a Google Maps element, which comes in the free version of Elementor. Very nice element. You just put in an address and then adjust the zoom and the height and whatever you want. You can prevent the scroll, stuff like that. This is just more text editors right here. This is the testimonial element. I used about 3 different testimonial elements. Added a little padding around them like this, just to format things. And this contact form right here, this is using a free WordPress plugin called Contact Form 7. I've used it for quite a number of years. It's a pretty good plugin. I mean, it's not without its faults. Contact forms can get pretty dicey sometimes, working with different kinds of hosting and all that sort of thing. That's why there's some contact solutions, form solutions that cost you a little bit of money to get because, well, it takes a lot of coding and keeping up with things and getting everything configured to work correctly. So if we go back to our WordPress dashboard for our contact form, I'm going to click on, you have to have Contact Form 7 under your plugins uploaded and activated. And you'll see this contact over here. I'll go ahead and click on that. And by default, you're going to have a default contact form already made for you. And right here, there's some information you might want to read. Right here where it says it doesn't store submitted messages anywhere. That way you may lose messages forever if you have mail server issues or make a mistake in your mail configuration. So there's another free plugin called Flamingo, which saves all the messages that are made through the contact forms into the database. And it's made by the same plugin author that made this Contact Form 7. So you might want to check out Flamingo, the free WordPress plugin Flamingo, just in case you don't want to lose any messages. But let's just click on this link for the contact form that comes with Contact Form 7. And I've already actually changed this, but it'll come with just probably your name and your email and subject and your message. I added your business name. If you want to add different fields to this field right here, let's go to our page. Scroll down and take a look at our contact form as it is right here. Your name, your business name. I added this one to the default page, your message. And there's different ways you can edit this Contact Form 7. I go to the Elementor page and click on it. So to insert this contact form in the Edit with Elementor page, I just inserted a text editor, drug over the text editor element, and put the Contact Form 7 shortcode right here. And what is that shortcode? Let's go back to our contact form page. You notice well, it's right here. Actually, you click on it. Here it is right there. There's our shortcode that we want to use. To make additions to your fields right here, say you wanted to add another field to your contact form. So what I generally do is just highlight one of these right here and copy it, hit enter a couple times, and then Control V to paste it in there. Now you'll have a duplicate, and then just change this to whatever text you want to show on your field. That'll be this part right here. Part right here is what you're editing the top line. So for instance, let's just say your phone. I'm going to make it required. And then right here, this is the shortcode we need, but we need to change that. So right here, I'm going to, under form, I'm going to click TELs for a phone number, telephone. Here's the field. I'll make it required like this. Use this text as the placeholder of the field. No. Actually, you can have a placeholder which will be inside this right here. You could actually just have a placeholder for your contact form rather than all this text. So let's do that for this one right here. Use text as a placeholder of this field. So I'll demonstrate what it means right here. Here's the placeholder phone, and then we're going to click. Actually, we'll put where we want it first. Here, we'll highlight this field right here, so we have the cursor there. Go back, and here's our same field again. Click Insert Tag, or you can just copy this right here and insert it too if you wanted to. That's what I'll do. I'll click Copy, go back here, highlight this right here, and then paste in the new field right here. There's our placeholder phone. Okay, and we'll go back to our field right here. Now another thing you have to do, don't make it very easy to understand right here. So there's a little tag right here with the brackets around it, tail 975. There's the name right there. You need to just see if we can just click inside. No, that's not going to work. You're going to have just that right there without the parentheses around it. We'll copy that. And what you're going to need to do with that, there's another field called Mail right here. And this is the email you're going to get. By default, it'll go to your WordPress admin email. You can change that or put a comma in there and have it go to multiple emails. Here's the email you're going to get. The subject, you can change that to you if you want to. Here's the message body from your name, your email, your subject. You know, that's all the different fields that people fill out on the contact form right here. And then right here, message body. So actually we have the phone in there already, but I'm going to demonstrate it again. I just typed in phone and then semicolon, and then I need to paste in that code which we copied. So I'll paste that in there again like that. And remember, that is talking about this little code right here down at the bottom, which is very hard to see. To use the value input through the field in a mail field, you need to insert the corresponding mail tag right here into the field on the mail, the mail tab right here. And like I said, you don't use the parentheses, so go back to the mail tab. Here it is right here, the mail tab right here. There's that phone tag. This is to show up in the email that you're going to get. This really isn't very complicated, but I'm just trying to explain it thoroughly so you don't misunderstand. And you can also send kind of an auto-respond email to the person itself. So here, your email, you can use in the following fields. You can use these tags, your name, your biz name, your email. You can use any of these tags just by clicking once, copying them, and pasting them in there. So mail to is an autoresponder going to their email, the email they use to fill out the form, and then you can change this from and subject and stuff like that. And then here's what the email will say. Hi, your name. That's the name they put in when they filled out the contact form. We got your message and we'll get back to you ASAP. Best, Mike. Very handy feature too. You can kind of give them a confirmation email. Let's go back to our contact page and reload the tab and see what happened. All right, there's our new phone field with the phone placeholder in there too, of course. Now, another thing you can also do is just get away with this text on top, message right here, like your name required, and just have the placeholder inside the form field. So to do that is pretty simple. For instance, the phone field, we just remove this right up here, the beginning label, and then remove that ending label field right there, and just have the brackets with the main tags in there with the placeholder also too. And I'll take that placeholder and actually I'll show you. You can just put it inside another field if you wanted to. Copy this and put it in here, put a space in there, paste, and I'll change this to name, or you could put your name if you wanted to. We'll go ahead and click save again. Go back to our page, reload the tab. And there we go. We got rid of this text on top of the phone field, and we could do the same for all the fields if you wanted to. You see the name field, we have the name placeholder text. If I start typing my name, it disappears. So that would be a good way to condense your form field if you wanted to do it that way. All right, so now let's take a look at Elementor Pro and some of the Pro elements we can use. And here's actually that same page we've been editing, the contact/location page, except it's using some Elementor Pro elements. It's using the Elementor Pro slider element, the Elementor Pro form field, and I think this is an Elementor Pro element 2 with the blog post right there. Let's go to the Edit with Elementor page for this one, for this page. Here it is right here. If I click inside this slider, actually, you know, we haven't even actually looked at the Elementor Pro elements yet, so let's do that first. Click on the dots, and if I scroll down here, now you'll notice Pro elements right here. And when I first got Elementor Pro, I believe it had 6 Pro elements. Now it has 11, and I'm sure they're going to be adding more. You know, to do this right, of course, takes a lot of work and a lot of configuration and coding and testing, and they've done a really good job. A slider, and a form. They also have some other cool elements too that we can take a look at. In fact, before we take a look at the slider element and the form element, let's add another new section down here and play around with some other Pro element. Click Add Section. I'll use 3 column structure right here. Let's try the flip box. So I'll just drag that element over here and drop it in one of these columns and do the same 2 more times. All right, this is a very cool element, the flip box, and I'm sure this takes some coding too to get correct. Right here, see we have the front, back, and the settings. So I click on settings, the height and the border radius, flip effect. We can make it side, push, zoom in, zoom out, fade, whatever we want. 3D depth, we can turn that on, and let's see what it looks like, the 3D depth. It kind of has a cool effect on it. Kind of looks like it's pushing out there with the 3D effect. Turn that off again. Open up the front first of all, which is the green with the star icon right there. That's the front element. This is the heading. Now what I've seen this used most often on sites, right below perhaps the front section, maybe a slider or an image or whatever on the top section of a site, you'd have 3 columns or 4 columns with flip boxes, and you don't even have to have text or headings on the flip box part. It could just be an image, and then when people hover over it, or just a single heading without a bunch of buttons and text and stuff. So then when people flip over it, then they see the main content of the section. So that's the front part. Of course, there's the background. We can change that background for the front part. And then the back part, we can do the same, edit that. This is the heading. Now it just shows the back part because we're editing it, of course. If you're editing the back, then it's just going to show you the back element, so you don't have to scroll back and forth to see what it's going to look like. So cool element there. I think I'm just going to hover over the section and delete it for now though, because we're not going to use it on this page. There we go. So that is the Pro elements, and we're using the slider Pro element right here, slides element, and the form element on this page right here. So let's take a look at this slides element. I'll click inside right here. Here are our 3 slides. You notice there's different text here, different locations. This one has it over here on the left, kind of center. This one has it over on the left too, but the text is a different color. Let's take a look at how we did that, or at least go over the basics of using the slides element. I'll click Add Item. Now we have slide heading, which under Content, I'm going to scroll forward and find our new slide right here. We have our default color background right here. Slide heading. If I click on Content, there's the heading right there. I'll change that to maybe example heading. Down here, I would probably get rid of most of this text because, you know, to be truthful, whoever reads that much text on a slider? You could have maybe a little bit more if you wanted to. Instead of click here, we could have perhaps learn more instead of click here. Now you notice the position of this text. Well, let's actually click on background first of all. Here's the default background color. Let's make it a little darker color. Let's choose this dark blue for one thing. And then we can click inside the image for the background and choose an image for our background. We'll choose this image right here. Click Insert Media. Of course, we could put a SEO title and alt text if we wanted to. Here's our new image background. We have our default color in case the image doesn't load. But of course, the text doesn't look very good with this light image. So what we're going to need to do is put a background overlay here. If you scroll down, we have background selected right here. You notice Ken Burns effect. If I turn that on, I'm not sure exactly what that is. I'll have to experiment with that. I think it zooms in and out. Oh, I see what it does. It does that kind of scrolling effect, zoom in, zoom out. That's kind of a cool effect, Ken Burns effect. Guess I learned something new every day. Okay, so for the background overlay, I'm going to turn that on. And there by default, it has your background overlay. I'm sure you can adjust the color of the background overlay if you want. Looks pretty good the way it is, though. I'm going to leave it as is. And now for the content, we've already played around with that. The button text, we changed that, but of course we'd want that button to link somewhere. So there it is. There's the link you can put for your button for people to click on. And for style, if I click on style, you notice down here we have, of course we just clicked on the style down below. If we turn on the custom style, we also have a style option up here, which is the default style option. If I turn on custom style down here, it's going to override any of the options that you edit down here in the custom styles. First, I'm going to save this slide so I don't lose it. So up here in style, here's the default style, the content width and padding and horizontal position, which is talking about the heading position, horizontal, vertical position, and I think I'm going to leave it as is there. That's the default style. Now if I go back to slides, content, click on here, click on style. If I turn on custom style, it's going to override that default style. So I could do this, do that, do this. I don't think I like that, though. I think I like it right about, depending on what your slide looks like, I think I like it about the way it was anyway, but you can text align it to the right. There we go, like this. You can change the content tile. But anyway, the basic thing I want to get across is if you choose style, the style tab under an individual slide, it's going to override your default styles for this horizontal and vertical position and text align and content color on a slide-by-slide basis. So for instance, this slide right here, let's see, no, I think it's this slide right here. If I scroll to it, you notice the text is, it comes up from the bottom and it has a different color of the text right here. See the background, actually under style, there we go, content color, I chose a different color besides white, and the horizontal and vertical position is the same. So you'll have to play around with the slides element. It's really pretty simple to use. Let's go back to our new slide. Anything else I could show you? Background, we've already checked out. Put a text overlay, a background overlay, I should say, to get our text to show up better, I should say. Style we talked about. So anyway, the slides element for Elementor Pro is a very nice one. Of course, the size of this slider image showing is limited by the size of the container it's in right now. It's in a column with a limited width. If you put a single column structure of a full width section, of course you could have full width structure, full width size of your images, a slider image spanning the width of your page if you wanted to, and the height of your image is controlled by this right here. It's not going to look too good doing this on this small slide, but just showing you what it does. Alright, we'll go back to the 300. Alright, so our other pro elements we're using down here, here's the forms element. I'll click on this. We'll go over this real quick. Of course, we have our content style and advanced form field submit button, which is that blue send action after submit. If you click inside here, you can have it send an email, go to email to, have it set up with your MailChimp account, redirect, or a webhook. And you're going to have to actually go to elementor.com and find some more documentation about using webhooks and redirects. I'm not going to get into that. If we click on email, send it to this email. You can send it to multiple emails by separating it with a comma. This, of course, is going to send you the information. Somebody fills out your form, it's going to send it to this email right here. So you'll get the name and email and message and the phone number of somebody that filled out your form on your site. And here's what your email is going to say, the subject of your email. And what else can I show you? Submit button, of course, we could change our text to something besides send. Change the size to medium, there we go. So there's a lot of different options. We could align it like this to justify the alignment. So there's a lot of cool options with the form field, Elementor Pro form field. I congratulate these guys. You know, a WordPress form is not an easy thing to configure, and there's so many variables that have to go into play. So they've done a good job. I'm sure they're going to keep improving on it. Let's see, what else can we do? We'll click in here. This is the edit post element, and actually I think this might be just a free element that I use right here. Well, actually it's a post element right here. Yep, it's a post element, a pro element. So this is a pro element too. If we click inside here, if you have a blog, see post per page, columns 3, We can make it multiple columns if we wanted to, like this. There we go. I could have 4 blog posts showing up with their featured images like that. Different effects, masonry. You could turn masonry on like that, turn it off. Anyway, there's a lot of cool things in Elementor Pro. If you're interested, you can check out more using that link I have on my page, or just go to elementor.com. Very cool plugin. I'm sure they're going to keep improving on it. So that is going to do it for this video. And as it says right here, anyone can create a website, and I believe that truly. It's not rocket science, but it does take a little bit of doing, and there's always something new to learn if you really want to get into it. You just relax and have fun with it. Make some web pages. You can mess up on them all you want, and then you can just delete them, start over, and just learn from your mistakes, and just learn what you want to and go as far as you want to. But Rome wasn't built in a day, so just have fun with it. And as always, keep on smiling and keep on keeping on.